Hello and welcome to session 5 of the 2023 Irish Youth and Senior Championships at the National Aquatic Centre. This is an HBV production for Swim Ireland. It's the Summer Nationals. The officials are out poolside and the swimming is about to get underway in session 5. That'll include the women's 50-metre freestyle, the men's 200-metre backstroke, women's 100 butterfly, men's 50-metre freestyle, women's 200 IM, the men's 100 butterfly, and we'll also have 3 heats of the women's 1,500 metre freestyle. That is what's to come on the programme. We'll be getting underway with the women's 50 metre freestyle shortly, the women's 15 and over 50 metre freestyle. These are the slower heats that will be swum during this session. The faster heats having been swum in the morning session on day 2 of competition, which is session 4, but session 5 we'll see the slower heats effectively done. That's based on the seed times of the athletes coming into the events. We're just about set for the very first of the women's 50 metre freestyle heats. There'll be 22 of these, with 10 heats having been swum in the morning session. Starting off, Weldon, Reyes, O'Donnell, Donovan, Auld, McGrath, Latimer, Hogan, Enchiva and Kamara will go in the pool. "50-metre freestyle, very much a race about the explosive start and then breaking water and trying to stay in front. So a DNS from Kamara going in lane 9. But the athletes on the pool deck and ready to get their Irish Youth and Senior Championships underway here at the National Aquatic Centre. And what an opportunity it is for many of the swimmers, for the age group swimmers. This is very much the main event of the year, and it's been celebrated as much. It's as much about claiming medals ultimately as it is about claiming personal bests, making milestone achievements in terms of time. And if you are wondering why this is shaping up differently to previous years, it used to be swum as Division 1 where stricter qualifying times were enforced, but a good improvement from Swim Ireland that allows a host of swimmers to swim in competition-like environment. And what an opportunity it is for the younger swimmers. They're also having the opportunity to swim in and around some of their swimming heroes. But to the first heat of 32 in the women's 50 and over 50 metre freestyle. Getting into the stroke really quickly. Emma Auld going in lane 4. Laura McGrath alongside her in 5, looking strong. Also going in lane 7, Roisin Hogan is looking good. The 15-year-old, 32.70 seed time. And then in lane 8, Enchiva is making up a little bit of ground. And Enchiva at the moment might just be in front along with McGrath. McGrath going in 5. And Enchiva on the outside lane looks to be pushing to the wall, and indeed Enchiva takes it, 31.14, and that's well below her seed time. She'll be delighted with that. 32.79 coming into this event, a 31.14. That is a fantastic achievement for Camelia Enchiva, just 15 years old. Expect her to drop her times in the years ahead. Many of these swimmers still only 15 years old, including the second heat. There is a 16-year-old. Emma Hearn goes in lane 6, but it's Goggin, McNulty, McDade, Price, Heaven, Harmon, Hearn, Ego, Richmond and Keogh. In the second heat of 32 of the women's 50 metre freestyle, breaking the water nice and early, going in lane 6, Emma Hearn looked really strong off the starters blocks, and she seems to be in front just by a narrow margin at the moment. Can she hold on? A little bit of a kick up, a notch up in tempo from Harmon going in lane 5. But Hearn looks to be leading the way as Aoife Heaven makes her way back into contention. Richmond, though, out-touches her, and it's Hearn who takes it from Richmond. It's a quick exit from the pool for the swimmers as we get to heat 3 now. Kelly, McDowell, Connolly, Samir, Lavrenova, Boyle, McKeown, Poots, Gunning, Downs, Melnikova. Now you're starting to see a few of the swimmers up by a year. That's a really good start in lane 7 for Sarah Gunning. And she comes up nicely in front, and Sarah Gunning is leading the way, coming up to the 25-meter mark. Coming back at her, though, is Annie Poots going in lane 6, and Poots is looking really strong, the Lisburn swimmer. But out in lane 9 as well, Melnikova not to be discounted. But it looks like Poots is going to take this, and she does, just ahead of Gunning with Boyle third. Melnikova sliding and just out-touched by Boyle at the wall. The NAC swimmer, 31.06, finishes 4th. What a swim from Poots. To the 4th heat now. Emma Glennon, Fielding, Matthias, Joyce, Slattery, Barry, McNamara, Manoras, Blake and Baker. So important to get your start right in the 50-meter freestyle. You can make no mistake off the starter's blocks, otherwise you've lost a good 0.1, 0.2 of a second off the starter's blocks. It looks like Blake going in lane 8 is leading the way, but she's been overhauled now, and coming through nicely in lane number 5 is Rachel Barry. And then Manoras in lane 7 looks to be next best. And also a decent looking swim here as well from Joyce going in lane 3. But it is going to be Barry who touches first ahead of Manoras. A 30.52 second swim. Not the fastest of the heat so far. To the 5th heat we go in the women's 50-meter freestyle. Natiwo, Funge, Murray, Smith, Reed, Mann, Comerford, Adams, Huggard and Curry. Good start from Janie Reed going in lane 4. This is the 5th heat of the women's 50-meter freestyle. Gemma Adams looks really good. Sarah Mann goes in lane 5 and is swimming nicely. Once she broke the water, got into her stroke, she got into a very comfortable stroke. Comerford as well alongside her going in 6th, but at the moment it looks to be Mann who is leading. Curry going in lane 9 is swimming rather fast as well. But it's Mann and Reed now coming back at her, but it looks to be Mann who's going to take it to the wall. It is Mann ahead of Reed, Huggard third. And Comerford down in 4th, 30.80 seconds. So Curry it was who took that in the end. Sophie Curry going in lane 9. Heat 6, Moore, McQuillan, Keane, Coleman, Young, Harrington, Rozhowska, Zimmerman, Moore and O'Connor. The 6th heat of 32 in the women's 50-meter freestyle. Breaking water and coming up nicely, Leanne Moore going in lane 8, still only 15 years old, but wow, is she moving quickly up through the 25-meter mark, and she's half a body length in front of anybody else in the pool and looking to extend that advantage as well. Leanne Moore going very nicely, 31.75 swimmer seed time coming into this heat, but she's a full body length ahead at the moment, and she's going to come to the wall comfortably in front. Moore takes the win, 30.02 seconds, the fastest of the swimmers so far, and so close to breaking the 30-second mark for Moore. Going to heat 7, Lyons, Walsh, Hussey, Giles, Nolan, Rowland, Sweeney, Friel, Graham, Lennox, Sheehan and Green going lanes 0 to 9. It's a really good start in lane 4 for Miriam Rowland, but a really good underwater from the swimmer going in lane 8, Anna Sheehan. Anna Sheehan came out in front, but on her outside, Fiona Green is looking very strong, and she's picked up the pace nicely and leads through 25 meters. But coming back now, it looks to be Mary Graham and Sofra Sweeney Friel who are pushing the pace. and maybe even in lane 3. Sean and Nolan now coming back very strongly as well. Who's going to touch this one? It's very close, too close to call. It is Green ahead of Sweeney Friel. Sheehan touches third, Nolan fourth quickest. 30.85 seconds, and well below their seed times. They'll be delighted with the times, will most of the swimmers. To heat 8 we go of 32. Now we've got a scratch in lane 2. Meehan, O'Brien. Lane 2 is empty. Fall, Coughlin, Quigley, Harmon, Ramsey, Morrissey, O'Hanlon goes in 9. That's a great start from Nisha Ramsey going in lane 7. And a solid underwater as well. Breaks water just short of the 50-meter mark, and she looks to be on target. Harmon as well is swimming well, going in lane 6. Coming through the center lane now in lane 5, Rachel Quigley is coming up very strongly. Sarah Coughlin is down. Fall is also looking strong in lane 3. But it looks to be Quigley. It's Quigley only just by 0.02 of a second. Quigley ahead of Harmon in another relatively fast time, approaching the area where they'll break 30 seconds. To heat 9 we go. Moore, McFadden, Cunningham, Doherty, nobody in lane 4, O'Brien, Higgins, Laffin, Coffey and Myers. Well, that is either a fantastic start from Aileen Coffey or a false start, but Coffey got off to a splendid start. The Shark swimmer, 31.45 seed swimmer, and at the moment she is leading the way at the 25-meter mark, but she is being caught by Cara Higgins, who's coming up nicely in lane 6, and alongside her, Aislinn O'Brien in lane 5, but it looks to be Cara Higgins in lane 6 who has got this race in the bag. Can she hold it out to the wall? Takes it to the wall. It is Cara Higgins, 30.33 seconds. Only just ahead of Becca Laffin. And a DQ, as I suspected from Coffey, just a little too fast off the starter's blocks. Heat 10, Dunn, Pillen, Hannon, Williamson, Gosson, Solon, Sproul, Hoare, O'Keefe, Donahue. Getting up very quickly is Darren Gosson going in lane 4. She got up and broke water very, very quickly. At the moment leads just about, coming up to the 25-meter mark, but it's very close alongside her with Solon and Sproul, who is pushing the pace. They are very close, neck and neck, literally between lanes 4 and 9. Who is going to take this one? This one is too close to call. It is Hoare just ahead of Donahue. O'Keefe finishes third. Wow. Hoare ahead of Donahue and O'Keefe third. Solon finishes fourth. Sproul finishes fifth overall. To heat 11 we go. Ryan, Warren, Railton, Hill, Higgins, O'Toole, Redmond, Martin, Mullen, Cullen. Good start in lane 7 from Gracie Martin. There's been a good number of swimmers who've put in exceptional performances from lane 7 in this race. It looks to be Carolyn Redmond, though, going in lane 6, who's leading the way through 25 meters. Carolyn Redmond, Daisy O'Toole on her inside, is making up a little bit of ground, and so too is Gracie Martin on her outside. Redmond still leading, only just. Is it going to be O'Toole who might catch her at the wall? And it is Martin just ahead of Redmond, with O'Toole finishing third, but 0.2 of a second separating the top three. A very close race. Ryan fourth and Railton fifth. To heat 12, a dozen in now. Scanlon, Grills, Martin, Alimatu Toure, Byrne, Wright, McCalmont, Newsom, O'Dwyer and Lyons. So Right is DNS going in lane 5, and so too in lane 3, Alimatu Toure, but leading coming up to the halfway mark. It looks to be Byrne going in lane 4. No swimmer on either one of her sides, but Newsom going in lane 7 looks decent as well. So too in lane 8 alongside her, O'Dwyer. Emily O'Dwyer is pushing in the final 50. Will it be O'Dwyer at the wall? It looks to be O'Dwyer ahead of Byrne. McCalmont finishes 3rd. Newsom from lane 7 touches 4th quickest. Aoife Lyons finishes 5th overall. From the Glenalban Swim Club, that is a fantastic swim from O'Dwyer, the 15-year-old. It's going to heat 13 now. Farrell, O'Leary, Mitchell, Flannery, Rahill, Passia, Yanoki, Cosgrove, Ruddy and Kazanachi. Kazanachi got off to a really quick start, going in lane 9, but not using the underwater quite so well, going in lane 5. Isabel Paccia goes very nicely for Lisburn, and going in lane 6 alongside her, Alicia Ginocchi is showing some real pace in the water, coming up to 15 meters to go now, and a little bit of a sprint coming through from Ruddy in lane 8. But it looks to be lane 6, Ginocchi, who is going to take this. And indeed, 29.60 seconds, goes below the 30-second mark, 29.60, and that's over a second off her seed time. She'll be delighted with that. To heat 14, Dowling, Omani, Brewster, Harrington, Hegarty, Marley, McCusker, Dillon, Grant, Marn and Beattie. Good reaction time from Eva Grant, going in lane 7, still only 15 years old. She and Romy Hegarty, the youngsters in this field, along with Iona Beattie, who goes in lane 9, who's just a little behind at the moment. But going very strong in lane 8 is Alison Marn. She is swimming alongside Eva Grant in lane 7, and Grant is showing great pace here, but it looks like Alison Dillon has got the strongest of the finishes. Alison Dillon is going very strongly, and it looks like Dillon is going to touch first. And indeed, Alison Dillon is first to the wall. The Terranua swimmer. Going to heat 15, Ibars, Lurling, O'Connor, Mason, Lynch, Colfer, Whelan, Teague, McCormack and Pearce. Good reaction time from Laurel Mason, the 16-year-old, going in lane 3 in this 15th heat of 32 in the women's 50-meter freestyle. Going strongly from lane 9 is Roisin Pearce. Sarah Teague is also looking really strong, swimming in lane 7. But they are being caught at the moment by, most notably, Nicole Colfer going in lane 5. Colfer is coming back at the whole field here. Teague in lane 7. Who's it going to be? Maybe lane 9, Pearce as well. Who's going to touch first? It's Teague ahead of Colfer, with Pearce touching 3rd quickest. Whelan finishes 4th. 29.91 seconds. It was a good overall heat with the first 3 swimmers going sub 30 seconds. And Sarah Teague takes the win in heat 15. Heat 16, Robinson, Ladden, Malcolm, Munnelly, O'Rourke, Walsh, McNally, O'Boyle, Walsh and Gillis. The women's 15 and over, 50-meter freestyle. A DNS from Malcolm going in lane 2. But this one looks better for Maeve O'Rourke going in lane 4. And now coming up very strongly is Sarah McNally going in lane 6. Sarah McNally is showing a little bit of pace. So too Jane O'Boyle on her outside. Jane O'Boyle is going with McNally. And an attempt from Maeve O'Rourke to come back at McNally, but it looks to be McNally who's going to take it to the wall, and McNally just ahead of O'Boyle with O'Rourke 3rd. 29:28, a very fine time in heat 16. We're halfway through the heats, 10 of which were swum in the morning session. So to heat 17 we go. Burke, Brannigan, Simpson, McCann, Minford, Toyton, Scott, Killeen, McKeown and O'Neill. A DNS from McKeown going in lane 8. Erin O'Neill in lane 9, but it's in lane 7 where Killeen is making a little bit of a move and leads up towards the 25-meter mark. Killeen is looking to put a little bit of distance between herself and Innes Scott, who's tucked into lane 6. Toyton in 5 has fallen behind, and Minford now, the 15-year-old going in lane 4, looks to make a bit of a comeback here, but it looks like Killeen who's going to touch at the wall first. Indeed she is. Kiva Killeen ahead of Innes Scott, with Vanessa Minford third from lane 4. 29:38. A solid time to put in, judging by the seed times. A few swimmers who've put in astonishing times based on their seed times. In heat 18, Brown, Feerick, Clifford, Hans, Harford, Taraknova, Steins, Walsh, McCarthy and Noble go. And going in lane 5, Taraknova is looking very strong indeed, the NAC Swim Club member. But going in lane 7, it's a massive push as well from Callie Walsh. And Callie Walsh looks to be bringing it to the wall in a very fast time. Is the Terranea swimmer going to make this the fastest of the heats today in this session? 28:60, that's a very fast time. The only swimmer to go sub 30 seconds, and she's gone 28:60. Callie Walsh, a dominant swim in this heat. How about that? Taraknova eventually finishes third overall. To heat 19 we go. We've got lanes 0 and 8 that are empty. So Crawford, Blake, Keogh, Hoare, Godden, Stewart, Ferris and Wilson going in lane 9. That's a really glorious start from Amy Hoare. Looks to use the underwater well, but still comes up behind Godden. Godden, who is looking to lead the way, but 2 down from her is Ferris, and Ferris is looking strong going in 7. So too is Sarah Keogh in lane 3. But at the moment, it is Keogh and Ferris who are battling for top spot. Is it going to be Ferris who holds on, or Keogh touch first? To the wall they go. It's Blake who's come in ahead of Ferris. Keogh touches third quickest. 29:27. What a finish from Ilan Blake. Not only making up time on Keogh, but out touching Ferris at the wall as well. To heat 20 now. Dooley, Perugada, Saradoinagi, Marr, Verednikova, Varkol, Randalls, Marshall, Linetz and Greenslade. Heat 20 of the women's 50-meter freestyle. And a really good start from Randalls going in lane 6. On her outside, though, it looks to be Rachel Marshall, who is making up a little bit of ground. Rachel Marshall, Phoebe Lunnett as well, going well in lane 8. But going in lane 3, Cara Marr is looking strong over the back 25 meters here. Will Cara Marr manage to get to the wall first, though? She touches second, just behind Rachel Marshall, with Phoebe Lunnett touching third. 29:04. That's a good time, a solid time. Two heats to go, with heats 23 onwards swum in the morning session. 21 of 32 swum now. It's Dorgan, Stewart, Coleman, Hegarty, Butters, Powell, Van Venen, Salutina, Pepper and Redden. Really good reaction time from Hegarty going in lane 3. As she comes up, she is just about level with the leaders, but it looks to be Mia Salutina going in lane 7, who is leading the way, and she's a good half a body length ahead of anybody in the field. And it's Ashley Redden going in lane 9, who looks to be second, and then a fight from Van Venen going in lane 6, lane 5 and 4 coming back now, Butters and Powell, but it looks to be Silutina who's going to out-touch them. 28.08, wow, how about that for a time? A seed time of just sub 30 seconds. She has taken nearly 2 seconds off her seed time, Silutina. To the final heat in the women's 50-meter freestyle. It's heat 22 of 32. Murphy, Taff, Shee, Brennan, Markey, Nita, Lynch, McKeown, King, and Creaney. Creaney got off to a good reaction time, but breaks the water early and comes up maybe just marginally in front, but it looks to be Xenia Nita going in lane 5, who's leading the way, maybe on her outside. Amy Lynch looking good in lane 6 and looking very strong in lane 7. Ella McKeown is pushing, but now Kira Creaney is coming back from lane 9. Kira Creaney is doing really well, so too Lily Shee going in lane 2. Is it going to be lane... Oh, wow, the center lanes, it's Nita who's come back brilliantly to touch ahead of McKeown and King. Shauna Murphy finishes 4th, but Xenia Nita, that was a fine swim, 29.22. So to the men's 15 and over 200 meter backstroke heats we go. 6 of the 13 heats were swum in the morning session. We will start now with heat 1 of 13. Brian Bui, Fanwell Bevan, Dylan Byrne, Oisin Finnegan and Tom Brown will go in this heat. So for the swimmers, it's about posting times. Have the opportunity to post the quickest time in their age group, and then we'll advance potentially to finals in their age group. It'll be swum in the evening session, where you have B and A finals. The only event that starts in the water is the backstroke. This is the first heat of 13 in the men's 15 and over 200 meter backstroke. Not getting off to much of a sprint, as you would expect. Tom Brown in lane 6 looks to be just taking it out nice and comfortably. So to Brian Bui going in lane 2, just 15 years old, a seed time of 2:45.99. Dylan Byrne, the quickest in the field, a 2:44.97 swim, the 16-year-old. So coming to the wall, Bevan 36.80 ahead of Brown, Bui 37.01. There's not much separating the top 3. In lane 6, Tom Brown. Not quite pushing the pace, but just keeping his tempo nice and high relative to the field. Slightly quicker turnover than some of the swimmers around him. You want to keep the head nice and still, get the shoulder rotation as smooth as you can. Get the pinky finger breaking the water, and then the cupped hand dragging you through. It's so significant as well with the backstroke is the kick. It's often overlooked, but the leg strength of the swimmers in the backstroke, think Ryan Lochte. That's really what you want to be doing. Tom Brown looks to be leading the way, but Fanwell Bevan is right on his shoulder, and it looks like Bevan is going to touch the wall first. Indeed, Fanwell Bevan touches 40.97 seconds for that last leg, which is a superb swim. He's up to effectively 0.27 of a second on Brown, who had the better of the turns and pushed off the wall nicely. Nice work off the walls from Brown that have kept him in front for much of this race, but doesn't quite have the speed in the water as Fanwell Bevan. Does Fanwell Bevan have what it takes to finish off this swim? Tom Brown from Portmarnock is going to take the heat, 2:37.89. Dylan Byrne coming home. So Brown ahead of Bevan, Oisin Finnegan third, Brian Bowie fourth, Dylan Byrne fifth. To the second heat we go in the men's 15 and over 200 meter backstroke. Whelan, Lambert, Terebeza, Little, Newell, Halakshkevich, Danska, Gilanders, Keogh and Fitzpatrick. The swimmers slowly making their way out of the pool from the first heat. Before the second heat will begin. This is action from the 2023 Irish Youth and Senior Championships at the National Aquatic Centre in Blanchardstown. An HBV production for Swim Ireland. We'll be hosting at this National Aquatic Centre the European Under-23 Championships coming up soon. And that is a massive fillip for Dublin and for Swim Ireland. Many of the swimmers at Under-23 level preparing for those championships by swimming at this event. For some, though, this is the culmination of the year's swimming, and it is the main event of the year for many of these swimmers as well. We're going nicely in lane 2. Augustus Terebeza, man from Drogheda Swim Club. He's taken it out a little quicker than the remainder of the field, and sometimes swimmers enjoy breaking up the field and then looking to hold on to a lead. Terebeza ahead of Fitzpatrick with Little from lane 3, third. But there's not much separating 3 to 7. Well, the tempo slowing now from Keone Little. It's still going strong in lane 2. Terebeza, they're going very nicely in 9. Ronan Fitzpatrick, he's kept up a very good tempo. The Terebeza just ahead of Fitzpatrick. Gilanders has come back nicely in the second 50. So to Dansa. So comfortably leading the way is Terebeza going in lane 2. The Drogheda Swim Club member. Ronan Fitzpatrick going in lane 9 has just fallen back ever so slightly. He had a good tempo through the opening 100, but following the turn he looks to have dropped. The pace, though, is picked up very nicely from Noah Newell, who touches second, 1:59.40 at the turn behind Terebeza. Gilanders is still up there. So Newell of Sligo is the man that made up the most distance over the 100 to 150 mark. Newell is being caught at the moment by Danska. Terabeza is still leading. He's shot out into an early advantage, and it looks like he's going to be holding that advantage all the way to the wall. Or is he? He's just ahead at the moment. He glides into the wall. Danska second, Newell third. Gilanders touches fourth, the 2:40.49, but 2:38.73 for Terabeza. Keogh a little down, little finishes from lane 3, 8th. To the third heat we go. Gilly, Labco, Zimaras, O'Rourke, Lynch, O'Keefe, Doyle, Farrell, O'Connor, O'Neill. Into the water go the starters. Rowan Gilly is a DNS from lane 0, but that's a great underwater from the man in lane 6, Jack Doyle. And he comes up just about in front. Sean O'Neill is going nicely from lane 9, but in the early stages it looks to be Alex Lapko going in lane 1 who is leading the way. The Ora Dundalk Swimming Club member. Danny Lynch ahead of Lapko. So Danny Lynch, Celtic Waves man, touches first at the 100 mark. O'Neill is going really strongly in lane 9. And O'Neill looks to be coming back. Lynch is just starting to drift a little down towards the lane rope, but corrected himself. Could it be O'Neill who touches first? It is O'Neill and Lynch who are separated by very, very little. 1:12.51 at the wall, 1:12.65 at the wall. They're effectively 2.5 seconds ahead of their nearest rival. That's well over a body length. Into the final 100 we go. Alex Lapko has fallen a little off the pace. He would have been hoping to maintain the pace that he held over the first 50, but maybe went out a little too quickly. It's so difficult to try to keep your momentum going over the course of a 200 meters. Sometimes you need to break the race down into smaller chunks, and certainly races over the longer distance do that. Coaches break down the races into shorter stints. But it is O'Neill, 1:52.12 at the wall ahead of Lynch. O'Rourke, third quickest. O'Neill out in lane 9 is showing some real back-end speed here. It's not like he's upped the tempo significantly. He's just maintained his tempo rather well. Going in lane 4, Danny Lynch is still holding on. But it is Sean O'Neill, the Athlone man, who is pushing all the way to the wall, and this is going to be a very fine victory for Sean O'Neill from lane 9, 2:29.61. So the fastest swim so far in this middle session of the Summer Nationals program on day 2. So O'Neill ahead of Lynch, ahead of O'Rourke, ahead of O'Connor, ahead of O'Keefe. To heat 4 we go. Smith, Daly, Fraser, Matthews, Greenan, Wyszynski, Fox, Duggan, Buckley and Sweeney. what an underwater from the man going in 3, Jamie Matthews. That's a beautiful underwater. Ross Fraser alongside him, also with a very good swim into his stroke nice and early. And Ross Fraser is looking really strong in his stroke. So too is Sean Greenan going in lane 4. Ross Fraser, over the opening 50, is looking to lay down a marker here. Has he got the ability, though, to maintain that pace throughout the remainder of this race? But Greenan and Fraser, they are coming to the wall effectively together. Indeed, Greenan touches a tenth of a second faster than Fraser over the first 50 meters. This is the men's 200-meter backstroke. Greenan only 15 years old, and still only 16 is Ross Fraser. These are two swimmers who are very much learning their trade, but Sean Greenan, over the first 100 meters, is put down some fantastic pace. Coming back now is Fox in lane 6. And Fox might be really close up on the leaders. Greenan now ahead of Daly. Fox, Fraser has fallen away, touches 5th of the wall. Charlie Duggan ahead of him, 1:14.55. But after the turn, off the wall, it looks to be Philip Daly who is really pushing the pace now. Philip Daly. And Greenan is falling away just a little. That's going to be Daly who touches first. The man from Kells Swimming Club is leading with a 1:51.14 at the wall. Greenan still touches second. Ross Fraser is falling back disappointingly. But Philip Daly is not holding back. And although he's drifting slightly in the lane, he's correcting himself now and he's still leading the way, importantly. And Philip Daly is going to touch quickest, 2:30.04, not the fastest heat, but Sean Greenan touches second. Charlie Duggan a fine third, 2:32.86, Evan Buckley fourth. Ross Fraser touches 5th overall. Solid swim from Daly. He managed the race well, and he gets his reward. Fastest time in his heat. To heat 5 we go. Wynn, Trait, Nixon, Reed, Lavin, Doyle, McNamara, Mongan, Samuchov, and Hoare. Heat 5 in the men's 200-meter backstroke is underway. Hoare has swum a very fine underwater, but it looks to be in lane 2 where Robert Nixon is leading the way in the early stages. Not too far behind him is Luke Wynn going in lane 0, Trojan swimmer. But Robert Nixon very comfortable and in control over the opening 50. That's a good turn as well. Never underestimate the significance of turns. Don't discount how important they are. You don't want to be losing even a tenth of a second to arrival at the turn. And bear in mind, in this race, you've got 3 turns to go. This is 4 lengths of this pool, the 50-meter pool, an Olympic-sized pool. Going in lane 6, Adam McNamara now is showing a little burst as he gets himself up into a position where he looks to be challenging for 3rd place. Robert Nixon is leading the way ahead of Luke Wynn. Nixon touches 2 seconds ahead of Wynn, with McNamara now 3rd. Ignat Samuchov, 4th overall, into the final 100. And still leading the way is Nixon, the 17-year-old. The Tempelhoek Swim Club member. So Nixon going to be just ahead of Wynne. And he's extended his advantage by just a matter of 0.27 seconds over that last 50. A nice consistent swim, and that's all you could ask for. Robert Nixon leading the way. McNamara is coming back very nicely now as well, and looks to be pushing for second place if he can, trying to overtake Luke Wynne in the water, but the focus has got to be on Robert Nixon. And indeed, Nixon is going to come to the wall comfortably ahead of anybody else, and the fastest time that we've seen so far, 2:27.59. McNamara does outtouch Wynne by 0.21 of a second. Nixon ahead of McNamara, ahead of Wynne. Samuchov finishes 4th. Justin Hoare 5th overall, James Mongan 6th. The yard swimmer Josh Reed 10th, 2:37.96. But a 2:27.59 from Nixon. That is some way off his seed time. He's taken 8.5 seconds effectively off his seed time. 2 heat 6 we go. Kasky, Trinchenet, Spollen, Carty, Higgins, Sweeney Noonan, Eller, Stewart. Nobody in lane 8, and then Rowan goes in lane 9. We've got a DNS as well in lane 6. Islan Eller is out. That's a very good underwater from Sweeney Noonan. Luke Sweeney Noonan going in lane 5, but into his stroke and looking really strong is Joe Carty, just 15 years old, going in lane 2 is Tom Spollen rather. And then going in lane 5 is Luke Sweeney Noonan. It's Spollen and Sweeney Noonan who are pushing the pace early on. Spollen will touch first, ahead of Sweeney Noonan. Daniel Rowan going in lane 9, looking strong as well, 33.87 through the first 50 meters. It's the ability to maintain your strokes and try to maintain your tempo. It's very difficult when you're learning your trade to be able to do that. It takes years of practice to be able to find a tempo and stick with it. So Spollen, Sweeney Noonan and Rowan are looking very strong as the front three. It might even be the man in lane 9. It is Daniel Rowan who touches first, ahead of Sweeney Noonan. Spollen now down to 4th as Dylan Stewart has outtouched him on the turn. So Daniel Rowan, the 15-year-old from Kilkenny, do not discount Sweeney Noonan though. He's been almost metronomic in his stroke. He has not allowed anything around him to interrupt his momentum, to interrupt his tempo. He's dictating his own pace, and he's not allowing the swimmers around him to hurry him up at any given stage. And now he's half a body length in front with 25 meters to go in the pool. Just ahead of Daniel Rowan is Luke Sweeney Noonan. It's a good comeback from Joe Carty going in 3. Joe Carty might be up in the top 3, but it is going to be the man in lane 5, Sweeney Noonan, that touches ahead of Rowan. Carty touches 3rd. Stewart only 5th. Trinchenet, good finish from him as he finishes 2:32.01. Sweeney Noonan, the NAC man, top in Heat 6. To Heat 7 we go, the last of the heats in the men's 15 and over 200 meter backstroke. Lau, Connolly, Steins, Ward, Gracie, Cowman, Noonan, Daniels, Howard, Connolly and Pozitka. So Connolly is a DNS from lane 1. That is a great underwater from Zach Daniels Howard in lane 7. He used his underwater so well. Matthew Gracie looking good in lane 4. But it's Zach Steins and Ushin Ward in lanes 2 and 3 who look strongest at the moment. I think it's Steins who's leading the way. It looks to be Steins who's extending his advantage. .32.70 at the wall as he turns quickest ahead of Kalman. Lau from lane 0, third quickest. Four lengths of the pool of the backstroke for these young men who are competing for their best times. They'll be looking to go sub 2:30. Most of these swimmers will not have dipped below 2:30. Coming up to the wall where they've got 100 meters to go. And it's Steins just ahead of Kalman. Not by much though, effectively 0.1 of a second that separates them. Steins and Kalman. Kalman looks to be just leading the way from Steins. But it is neck and neck between the two. Coming up to the final turn. So Steins going in lane 2, Kalman going in lane 5. It's Kalman who touches ahead of Steins. 150.87. Kalman with a quicker 100 to 150. Cody Lau is making a move for it. Cody Lau had a fantastic turn. He was sensational off the wall and used a little underwater perfectly. And Cody Lau might have this race in the bag. Cody Lau, sneakily good from lane 0. Has timed his race to perfection here, and he's going to swim away with it. Cody Lau, how about that for a final 50? Touches at the wall, 36.50 over the final 50. That is superb from Cody Lau, 2:28.51. Wow, Cody Lau. Noonan a DQ. Gracie finishes second. Daniels Howard third. Carmen just slipping away over the final 100. To the women's 15 and over 100 meter butterfly heats we go. The action from the 2023 Irish Youth and Senior Championships here at the National Aquatic Centre. We are poolside as this HBV production for Swim Ireland takes place. The Summer Nationals, as it's affectionately known. Richmond, Gossan, Moore, Heaven and Frill. Two lengths of this Olympic pool in the butterfly stroke for these young women. Broke the water first, did Amelie Friel, but it looks to be Darren Gosson who's leading. Darren Gosson from the Aer Lingus Swim Club. It's very tight at the wall. It's Richmond just ahead of Gosson, with Moore touching third quickest. That's a very good finish to the opening 50 by Anna Richmond. So Anna Richmond in 2 after the turn is leading. Not particularly high out of the water, but she's got a good kick, good frequency. She's breathing on every second stroke, which is a good sign as well. And she's upping the tempo now. It's Richmond ahead of Gosson, with Heaven coming in third. Heaven might even come on the stroke, but at the wall it is Richmond. But Gosson takes the win. 1:18.76, just ahead of Richmond. Richmond caught between strokes at the wall, and that's not where you want to be. Nolan, Harmon, Glynn, Sheridan, O'Loughlin, Brophy, Coleman, McNamara, Barry, McQuillan and Hegarty for Heat 2 of the women's 100-meter butterfly. It's a very high dive off the starters blocks for Hegarty going in lane 9. She looks decent in the water at the moment, but it looks to be in lane 1 Harmon that is leading the way. Glynn is not too far off her shoulder. And going nicely in lane 4, Maya O'Loughlin Brophy. It might be Glynn just in front, but Brophy, O'Loughlin Brophy, might get there to the wall first. She does, just ahead of Glynn. Sheridan is third, Harmon fourth, Nolan fifth. That's a great turn from Maya O'Loughlin Brophy. The Cool Mine Swim Club member is showing real strength in the closing 50. She's upped the tempo significantly. The arms not quite as high, the shoulders not quite as high as they were in the opening stages, but she has got some strength about her. She's got a good kick as well, and it looks like she's going to comfortably get to the wall first. Indeed she does. Maya O'Loughlin Brophy, a 1:15.60 ahead of Clodagh McNamara. Siofra Glynn finishes third. And Sinead McQuillan with a very fine finish to finish fourth. 1:15.60. That is over 2 seconds off her seed time. She'll be delighted with that. To heat 3, Farrell, Ryan, Stewart, Redden, Keogh, Henderson, O'Connor, Connolly, Hill and Dillon. So a DNS from Keogh in lane 4 and a DNS from Ryan in lane 1. But going very nicely in lane 3 is Ashley Redden at the moment. Alongside her is Tilly Stewart. And Tilly Stewart is not letting Redden get away from her completely. This decent swim as well from Jill Connolly going in 7. But it looks to be Stewart who is going to hit the wall first. No, it's Redden just ahead of Stewart, with Connolly third quickest. And there's only 0.7 of a second that separates the top 3. There is very little separating them at the moment. Connolly going well in lane 7. It's Connolly who is leading the way. Tilly is still not to be discounted, and then coming through nicely in lane 5 is Ellen Henderson. Henderson is showing some strength in lane 5, and Henderson is pushing Connolly all the way to the wall. Is it going to be decided on the stroke? It's Connolly just ahead of Hill, with Henderson finishing 3rd. Emily Hill, what a comeback swim as well, 39.47 over the back 50. And she finishes 2nd, a 1:15.62 for her, behind Jill Connolly's 1:15.50. Henderson 1:15.83, very tight between the top 4. The final heat of the women's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly. Scott, Dorgan, lane 2 is empty. Killeen, Grant, Blake, Keogh, lane 7 is empty. Glennon and Dooley goes in 9. So Alicia Dempsey going in lane 2 is looking really strong. Alicia Dempsey is showing some wonderful speed. Cara McKenna going in lane 7 as well is showing some strength. Dempsey ahead of Dooley, ahead of Dorgan. Blake, McKenna touches 5th, not much separating the top 4. Going out in lane 9, Ellen Dooley wants to provide a little bit of a comeback here, and it looks like after the turn she has pushed the pace significantly. McKenna in lane 7 is pushing, so too is Dempsey in lane 2, but she's starting to fall back now just a little. It looks to be Ellen Dooley going in lane 9 who is going to touch first, and Dooley ahead of McKenna. 1:10.70 seconds. That is ridiculous in terms of taking time off your personal best. Well, these swimmers have come home substantially lower than their seed times. How about that from Ellen Dooley ahead of Cara McKenna? Saoirse Dorgan 3rd with a 1:12.88. Alicia Dempsey 4th, 1:13.08. Eve Blake 1:13.58. These are all PBs by some distance. That is great news for the swimmers, and they can take much delight from their efforts in the pool already. So to the men's 15 and over 50-meter freestyle we go. The first heat, 9 swimmers going in lanes 0 to 8. Tritchler, Prendeville, Ryan McNamara, Constantinescu, Cullinan, McConnon, McIntosh and Kelly. Lane 9 is open. Tritchler is the DNS. That's a great start from Dylan Prendeville going in lane 1. Great reaction time from Prendeville, but the action is taking place in the center lanes, and it looks to be in lane 4, Constantinescu who is leading the way. The 15-year-old Matei Constantinescu going in lane 7. Isaac McIntosh as well. Isaac McIntosh is coming back as strongly as he possibly can, but it's going to be Constantinescu who gets to the wall first. He touches 29.11 seconds, so well sub 30 seconds. Isaac McIntosh as well goes sub 30 seconds, a big PB for him. Dara Cullinan finishes 3rd. Ben Kelly comes home 49.63 and a 44.84 for Prendeville. That's a good swim from the Limerick man, 44.84. But a fine swim from Constantinescu, 29.11. Dominated the race. To heat 2, 35 heats in this 50-meter freestyle. Rowe, Ruddy, O'Connor, Halaskevich, White, Burke, Smith, Walsh, Huang, and Hickey. Best of the starts, Dylan Burke, it looked to be. Good reaction time from Dylan Burke going in lane 5, and he's up and in front and looking to maintain that advantage. Going nicely in lane 3 is Halaskevich, Igor Halaskevich. He's looking to go sub 30 seconds here. These swimmers are all looking to go sub 30 seconds. At the moment, though, it is Burke who is leading the way. Can Burke hold it to the wall? It's a fast finish outside him from Smith, but it is Burke who catches the winning time, 28.83. 29.07 for Halaskevich, and the top 5 swimmers go sub 30 seconds for PBs. Cathal Smith, 3rd overall. Heat 3 of 35, McGrath, Manrick, O'Sullivan, Dempsey, Newell, Laverty, Casey, Mann, Hoey, and Gillard. Looking to use his underwater well is Ruben Dempsey in 3, but Cohen Laverty used it very nicely as well. Came up in front, but in the stroke he's losing out a little to Dara Casey on his outside. The 15-year-old is going strong, so too in lane 9. Connell Gillard is pushing the pace. Connell Gillard, but now in lane 3, coming back in the final 25 meters, Ruben Dempsey. Ruben Dempsey might just have it maybe on the outside lane as well. It's Gillard who's touched ahead of Dempsey. Casey finishes 3rd, Laverty 4th. And again, 28.11, 28.28. Everybody sub 30 seconds, bar Oisin McGrath. But some massive PBs being swum at these championships by the swimmers involved. To the 50-meter freestyle, 4th heat. Trinchenet, O'Connor, Whitaker, Kenny, McLean, Danska, Urbanic, Fitzpatrick, Reed, and Travers. Good underwater from Toby McLean going in lane 4. Lane 6, it looks to be Bartosz Urbanic who is making up some ground in the water. And it's Urbanic and McLean who are challenging one another for the lead. Urbanic and McLean still coming up to the wall. There's some movement in the outside lanes as well. Is it going to be Urbanic just ahead of McLean? Fitzpatrick finishes 3rd. Reed finishes 4th. The yard swimmer. And Killian Travers finishes 5th. Again, separated by effectively 0.3 of a second, the top 5 rather. To heat 5, McNally, Castro, O'Rourke, McCullorum, Fitzpatrick, Gavigan, Rowan, Little, O'Flaherty, and Holland. Good reaction time in lane 4 for Fitzpatrick. Gavigan on his outside as well is swimming nicely once he's broken into the stroke. Sean O'Rourke looking decent as well going in lane 2. Just alongside him in lane 3, John McCullorum is picking up pace now in the water. It's McCullorum who is challenging Gavigan at the front now, and coming through in lane 2, O'Rourke. Who's going to touch first? I think it's going to be O'Rourke just ahead of Gavigan. It is, with Rowan finishing 3rd. 28.06, 28.07, 28.14. Separated by 0.08, 0.08 of a second, separating the top 3. To heat 6 we go. James, Nugent, Wiercinski, McCarroll, Whelan, McWeeny, Williams, Brown, Walsh, Samokvalov. Good start in lane 3 from James McCarroll, and he'll be wanting to make that advantage count, but it looks really good for Tom Brown, the Portmarnock man, going in lane 7. Tom Brown looks to be leading the way. He's just ahead of Shannon McWeeny. McWeeny is coming back at Brown. It is McWeeny and Brown who are going head-to-head here. McWeeny looks to be quicker at the moment, but Brown looking to lead the way. He hits the wall first, 27.34, 27.55. Again, some PBs being swum in this field. Samokvalov finishes third. To heat 7 we go. Niblock, Duggan, O'Donnell, Winston, Hare, McGarvey, Glover, Penwell, Kavanagh, and Emerson. Searching for that explosive start, looking to use the underwater well, and you'll notice with some of the younger swimmers, they don't necessarily use the underwater the way that some of the older swimmers do. And some of the more senior swimmers tend to use the underwater particularly effectively. Leading up through the 25-meter mark is Aaron Hare. Will he hold on to the wall here? Aaron Hare looks to be just in front of Christopher O'Donnell. Aaron Hare is going to touch first ahead of Ben Glover. Kavanagh third. Hugo Winston touches fourth quickest, and Christopher O'Donnell just a little way behind. Aaron Hare, a DQ, so Glover will take that as he goes sub 28 seconds, 27.99. To heat 8 we go. Ralston, Scaringella, Markey, Foster, Yelnazov, McNary, Kavanagh, Marks, Vicario, and Moore. The DNS from Kavanagh in lane 6, but it's the lanes on the outside who are looking decently strong here. Marks is looking really good, going in lane 7. Marks is leading the way. Coming back at him is Nell McNary going in lane 5, and in lane 4 is Darren Yelnazov. Marks, can he hold on? No, sure. Oh, wow, so that is ridiculously close, the finish. Marks and Yelnazov, not much separating them as Vicario touches third quickest overall. 27.61. Finn Marks. That's a great swim from lane 7 from Finn Marks. To heat 9 we go. Spollen, Fee, Turner, Daniels, Howard, Kelly, Dugan, Walsh, Pazitka, Mulligan, and Miller. Action from the 2023 Irish Youth and Senior Championships. This is the National Aquatic Centre, an HPV production for Swim Ireland. The Summer Nationals that have been coming thick and fast, the action. We're into the 50-meter freestyle heats for men 15 and over. Into heat 9 we go. Just a slight delay, but the action continues shortly. We'll pick up with heat 9 of 35. There are 10 that were swum in the morning session, so we'll only have 25 heats swum, but plenty to get through for the officials and for the swimmers as well. Need to be lined up in the call room and ready to go in order. The 9th heat of 35, and of 25 that'll be swum in this session as the men's 50-meter freestyle gets underway. It looks to be a decent looking swim from Oren Mulligan going in lane 8. He's out in front at the moment, just edging ahead. A little bit of a comeback here from Ty Walsh going in lane 6. Walsh might have Mulligan here. Mulligan is just falling back. It looks to be Walsh who's cruising to the wall. And indeed, Walsh ahead of Mulligan, with Pazetka finishing 3rd. Turner finishes 4th for NAC, 27.01. A fine swim from Ty Walsh. To heat 10, O'Halloran, Doyle, Corbett, Price, Karchenko, Coleman, O'Donnell, McNamara, O'Connor and Martin. That's a really good underwater from Ben Coleman, going nicely in lane 5. He's come up just in front, but can he hold it in the stroke? It's a decent looking swim from Alex Martin in lane 9. Jack O'Connor, Adam McNamara, Hugh O'Donnell, they all look strong. They're coming up alongside one another. Lucas Price going in 3 is not to be discounted either. Lucas Price might just have a little something here. Is Coleman going to hold on to the wall? McNamara ahead of O'Connor. Coleman finishes 3rd, and Doyle goes 4th. But the top 5 swimmers going under 28 seconds, 27.67 to 27.99, Lachlan Doyle. To heat 11 we go. Artis, Clennigan, Taff, Lau, Martin, Hoare, Jamrog, Hooker, O'Malley and McGrath. Lovely break out of the water from the man going in lane 4, Kenny Martin. Martin looking really strong. Going in lane 7 as well, looks to be Matthew Hooker. Hooker is challenging for the lead. And Hooker challenging Martin for top spot here. Going in lane 1, a decent looking swim from David Clennigan, but Martin and Hooker coming to the wall, very close between the two, and it's Hooker who touches just ahead of McGrath, with Martin finishing 3rd overall. Justin Hoare is down in 4th. Matthew Hooker, the Sunday Wells Swimming Club member, with a fine victory. Heat 12 of 35. Kante, Nugent, Mackay, Mullen, Whale, Lynham, Carty, Marr, Bowen, McKeown. The 12th heat of 35 in the men's 50-meter freestyle. Some term it a splash and dash, but it's effectively a dive into the water. Your reaction time is so important, so too is the strength of your underwater, and then once you break water and get into your stroke, it's significant. Paul Marr going in lane 7, the 16-year-old, looks to be the man in front, but challenging him on his outside, Marcus Bowen. Marcus Bowen now looks to have hit the front. Is it going to be Bowen who takes it first? He glides to the wall, and Bowen just ahead of McKeown. Mullen touches 3rd quickest, and Paul Marr 4th. (26.81) beats 26.91. Only 0.1 of a second separating the top two. To heat 13 we go. Noonan, Rice, Laszlo Molnar, Heron, Carroll, Fox, Somerville, Shanley, Murphy, McCarthy. Good start from Carroll going in lane 4. Breaking the water though and coming up really quickly is Dara Somerville going in lane 6. Somerville is leading the way through 25 meters. He's got Ryan Shanley on his outside who's pushing the pace now, but it looks to be Somerville who's going to take this to the wall. It's Somerville who is pushing hardest through the water. Lovely stroke that he's gotten. Somerville is going to touch in 26.25 seconds. Ahead of Shanley, 26.61. Jamie Murphy finishes third, 27.23, the Dolphins man, just ahead of Kieran McCarthy. Heat 14, Ginty, Churshin, Blackwell, Macari, O'Loughlin, Geng, Gilly, Hanley, Galligan, and Bishikirshas. Bishikirshas got off to a fine start going in lane 9, but he's losing it just a little in the water here. It looks to be Kieran O'Loughlin who is leading, but Bishikirshas is coming back going in lane 9. He's showing some strength in the outside lanes to maybe come back. Is it going to be the man in lane 4, O'Loughlin? It's no, the man in lane 9. Bishikirshas comes ahead of Hanley with O'Loughlin finishing third in this race. The Kells man to heat 15 we go. Connolly, Trunk, Kenny, Tyler, Dunleavy, Hall, Cook, Registe, Rudd and Hanrahan. Deaton Registe back in the water for the third time today. This is day 2 of this 5-day event, the Irish Youth and Senior Championships at the National Aquatic Centre. Second session on day 2. Heat 15 of the men's 50-meter freestyle is underway. Registe gets off to a good start and looks good in the water as well. So too in lane 5, Killian Hall going rather well. Going in lane 8 is Jonathan Rudd. And Jonathan Rudd is pushing the pace now. Jonathan Rudd looks to be just in front with 15 meters to go. Hall is still looking strong, but it looks like it's going to be Rudd who will take this, and Rudd takes it ahead of Hanrahan with Cook finishing third. Hall finishes fourth. Registe finishes down in 7th overall after that fine start. But 26.39 takes it. Jonathan Rudd posting that quick time. So to heat 16 we go. Murphy, Keys, Gray, McGrath, Lennon in lanes 0 to 4. Nobody in lane 5. O'Neill, Kelly, Tui and Mitchell go in lanes 6 to 9. Good underwater from Sean O'Neill going in lane 6. Sean O'Neill, who looks to be leading the way. Bradley Mitchell going in lane 9. The 18-year-old is looking strong. He's got a 27.5 coming into this competition, into these championships, but O'Neill looks to be leading the way. He's trying to take a breath every handful of strokes, and sometimes it's best not to take a breath at all during the race. But it's Bradley Mitchell who takes it 26.47 ahead of Ben Kelly, 26.91. Owen Lennon, 26.99. The Sharks man, all sub 27 seconds. John Tui, the 27.07 is fourth. Heat 17 of 35. Smith, Agbaye, Pusher, Mullen, Wise, Daly, Lapko, Caulfield and Georgiev. Lane 9 is empty. And a DNS from Wise in lane 4. Well, there's relatively level pegging from the swimmers. Georgiev, though, looking in lane 8 as if he's got the lead with 15 odd meters to go. Going nicely in lane 1 as well is Ruben Agbaje. But Georgiev, can he hold on to the wall here? Georgiev, he's being challenged on the near side, and it looks like Caulfield is just about done enough to out-touch him, but Georgiev at the wall takes it 26-38 over Agbaje and Caulfield, who dead heat for second, 26-59 for both swimmers, the man from Bangor and the NAC swimmer Caulfield. To heat 18 we go. Kozlauskas, Flynn, Hussam, White, Davey, Ryan, Carroll, Woods, Patton and O'Neill. Oh, the underwater from Mark Ryan was superb. The 22-year-old showing a little experience here in the pool as he looks to take the win in this heat. These are all swimmers who swim 27.3 at their best. But it looks to be Ryan who's leading the way. On the near side, Kozlauskas is looking decent, the 15-year-old, looking to go sub 27 seconds. 25.48 from Ryan. Louis Flynn, 26.13, finishes second. Josh O'Neill, third, 26.93. Thomas Davey, 26.99. To heat 19 we go. Lacey, Gracie, Van Damme, O'Donoghue, Skulk, Lee, Tanvir, Comerford, Kavanagh and O'Rourke. The Summer Nationals get underway. In heat 19, O'Donoghue is a DNS going in lane 3, but going nicely in lane 5 is Alex Lee. Going very strongly at the outside as well is Tom O'Rourke, and Caleb Van Damme looks decent going in lane 2. Is it going to be Van Damme potentially or O'Rourke? It's O'Rourke just ahead of Van Damme, with Lee finishing third from lane 5. 26.13, the winning time for Tom O'Rourke of Athlone. To heat 20 we go. Richmond, Ilsley, McGlue, McNichol, Cowgill, Kutlu, Nemnasevs, Leanne, Kelly and Horton. Good reaction time from Lean going in lane 7. He looks to make up time in the as he broke the water, but Lean is looking decent at the moment. So too is Kyle Kelly on his outside. Kyle Kelly might just have the lead at the moment. Kyle Kelly from lane 8. Luke Horton on his outside as well. Donovan Lean is very close, but Kyle Kelly is going to take a 26.41 ahead of Lean. Cowgill finishes third, Kutlu fourth, the Hamilton swimmer. To heat 21 we go. McDowell, Konstantinov, O'Leary, Cody, Monaghan, Pang, Vaughan, Duffy, Lanigan and Dugan. O'Leary is a DNS in lane 2. McDowell, Konstantinov get off to decent starts in the near side lanes. Going very strongly is Dean Cody in lane 3, as he just losing a little now in the pool, in the stroke. It looks to be Doug Duffy who is strongest at the moment. Coming back is Aaron Peng in lane 5. Aaron Peng is showing some real speed over the final 50. Who's going to take it? It's going to be Peng just ahead of McDowell. Lanigan finishing 3rd. Aaron Peng, 26.33, ahead of Ryan McDowell and Conor Lanigan. Doug Duffy, 26.55. He'll be happy with that time. Heat 22, Danilenko, Cahill, Walsh, Zykov, Leachuk, Dixon, McAvaney, Brennan, Price, and Matthews. The 22nd heat of the men's 50-meter freestyle. We still have a host of youngsters in the pool, all teenagers at the moment. Dmitry Zykov going in lane 3. He's trying to make up a little bit of ground here, but going in lane 5, it's Ewan Dixon. Looks to be strongest. Ewan Dixon being challenged on his outside here by Matthew McAvaney. Matthew McAvaney, has he come back enough? It's Dixon. Oh, Price. No, McAvaney has it, 25.80. So McAvaney is the man who has it ahead of Dixon. Heat 23 of 25 that we will see in this session. George, Davis, McCarthy, Kearney, Davaran King, Mann, Lannon, Hanley, Killen, O'Neill. Good start from Dara O'Neill going in lane 9. Doesn't take full advantage of the explosive start that he got off to. Going in lane 1. Rory Davis looks decent, the 18-year-old, but very, very tight at the top. Going in lane 5 and 6 alongside one another, Mann and Lannon look like they might be in the front. Maybe even in lane 2, a little bit of a push towards the wall. But it is McCarthy who finishes 2nd. It is O'Neill out wide who claims the win. The NAC man, 26.04 ahead of McCarthy. Mann finishes 3rd. And Lannon only 1/100th of a second out of the top 3. To heat 24, Wynn, McElroy, Sanchez, Rusk, Vunisir, McDowell, O'Shea, Brahman, Ramchandani, Longmore, and Whiteley. Good start from Oscar Longmore going in lane 8, and he looks to be up in front after a decent underwater as well. Can he hold on to the advantage that he created? He leads through 25 meters of this 50-meter freestyle event. It's Longmore still holding on to the lead. Killian Bramham coming back at him here. Bramham going, and so too is O'Shea. Longmore takes it ahead of Whiteley. We go sub 26 seconds here with Longmore ahead of Whiteley, and then O'Shea right on the 26 seconds dead. 25.75 for Oscar Longmore. Swimming from lane 8 to heat 25. The last of the 50-meter freestyle heats we go. The men's 50-meter freestyle heats. Robertson, Francis, Houlihan, McGann, Kolak, Saradai, Nagy, Martin, Barrett, Weaver, and French. These are swimmers that will be looking to break 26 seconds. Are they feeling it? Have they got what it takes to post a personal best? So many of these swimmers are looking for personal best, personal milestones. going in nicely in lane 5. Saradai Nagy, the 20-year-old, 26-29 seed time coming into this race. It looks like Saradai Nagy is going to be taking this to the wall, and he'll touch just ahead of Ashley Weaver, with Jacob Martin touching third quickest and Dominic French fourth in a fine 26.15 ahead of Thomas Francis, but very tight between the top 5, most notably between positions 3 to 5. To the women's 15 and over 200 meter IM heats. We have 7 in the session. 6 were swum in the morning session. The first heat, Young, Grant, Adams, Gosson, Harmon, Moore, Coffey, McKeown and Martin. Nobody in lane 9. So getting underway in the women's 200 meter individual medley. The first heat into the butterfly, and then into backstroke, then into breaststroke, and then into the freestyle. And it looks like Gemma Adams is leading the way, the yard swimmer. Adams touches 36 flat from lane 2. Eva Grant from lane 1, 36.18 as they go into the backstroke. So fly, back, breast, and then free. That's the order in which it goes. It looks to be in lane 8 now. It's in lane 7 rather. It's Sophie McKeown who's leading the way. But a decent backstroke as well from Aileen Kofi. There are the two swimmers who touch in front, McKeown and Kofi. Gosson touches next fastest, and then it's Erin Moore. 120.17 at the halfway mark, but into the breaststroke, and this generally is where the race gets decided, in the breaststroke leg. It is such a technically difficult stroke to master that many swimmers do fall away in the IM races in this event. But McKeown and Kofi are side by side, swimming very fine breaststroke legs. It'll come down to the freestyle to determine who claims the win in this heat. Two swimmers who are looking to post personal bests. Around 2:53, the times that they've been swimming. It's McKeown just ahead of Kofi. 2:09.48 at the wall, 2:10.71 for Kofi. But McKeown is leading the way, and she's extending her advantage now by over a body length. She is in front coming into the freestyle, or technically the front crawl stroke. Free refers to the fact that you can swim any stroke, but front crawl is the stroke that you see swum almost exclusively. And she's tiring now is McKeown, and Kofi is coming back at her. McKeown is just tiring in the final meters here. A little bit of a spurt towards the end, and she manages to hold on. 2:46.91, half a second effectively ahead of Aileen Kofi. Maisie Martin finishes third, 2:53.43. Erin Moore finishes fourth, and Darren Gosson from lane 3, 2:54.21, good enough for fifth. Evan Harmon finishing sixth. To heat 2, Henderson, Friel, O'Connor, Walsh, Blake, Redmond, Heaven, Kearney, Vaughan and Martin. Not much separating the swimmers at the start, but going in lane 5 is Carolyn Redmond, who showed a fair bit of speed off the starting blocks and then a very good underwater. Leading the way at the moment, though, looks to be Blandet O'Connor. O'Connor with Blake, Redmond, and it's Blake who touches ahead of Martin and Redmond. O'Connor now down to 4th despite being in front for a little while. Into the backstroke they go. It's about managing your strokes in this event. What you're effectively asked to do is swim as fast as you can in each of the 4 strokes in the medley event, starting with a butterfly, then into the backstroke, then into the breaststroke, and then into the free. And by the time you get into the breaststroke, there is certainly a little bit of lactic acid buildup in the body if you're exerting yourself, if you're going all-out sprint. At the turn, it is Redmond ahead of Vaughan, ahead of Blake, ahead of Martin. Friel is 5th overall. Redmond is looking strongest at the moment into the breaststroke. It's a very good breaststroke from Vaughan, who looks to be slowing though, as I say that. Maybe a little bit of a move that's being made by O'Connor going in lane 2. O'Connor is definitely making a move now. Her breaststroke is very strong. But it is Redmond, the swimmer, to catch. O'Connor certainly swum the quickest of the breaststroke legs and is not far behind now. 47.54, 46.11 for O'Connor. Henderson with a 47.54. Redmond only 52.10 over the breaststroke, but into the freestyle they come. And it is Carolyn Redmond who is leading. Going in lane 0, Henderson is looking strong in the freestyle as well. Henderson might be able to make a bit of a challenge in the freestyle. Henderson against Redmond. Henderson is flying at the moment. It's very tight between Henderson and Redmond. Who's going to take it? And Henderson has it ahead of Redmond. 2:48.30 beats 2:48.77. Aoife Heaven with a great comeback. O'Connor finishes 4th. What a race. Henderson takes it over Redmond, 2:48.30 by nearly half a second from Redmond. As rays of sunshine break through the roof at the National Aquatic Centre. To heat 3 we go. Glennon, Knight, McDade, Cullerton, Mulvey, Colfer, Scott, Poots, Scott, Staiku. So starting with the fly, nobody really laying down a marker in the opening 50 meters. And maybe just a little bit of an advantage from Molly Mulvey. Molly Mulvey of Trident Swimming Club. Coming into her own, the 15-year-old. 2:46.99 swimmer at her best over this distance. 33.54 she's gone out in, ahead of Ines Scott, just ahead of Nicole Colfer as well. It's tight between 2nd and 3rd at the moment. And into the backstroke they go, and going in lane 6. Ines Scott looks to be very strong. Ines Scott is leading the way with a good backstroke. She's just hugging the lane rope slightly. Nothing wrong with that. So Scott ahead of Mulvey, ahead of Cullerton. In is Scott. In is Scott. Mulvey is still in it. She's bringing herself back into it spectacularly with the breaststroke. Mulvey is looking really strong. Good underwater, good deep stroke and a glide as she gets herself into some really good momentum underwater and then breaks the water nice and high, goes underwater, engages the lats. And alongside her is Nicole Colfer, who's coming back courtesy of her breaststroke as well. This is going to be an interesting race between 4 and 5. Mulvey and Colfer side by side. Who's got the stronger free coming home? Lily Knight also with a 45.78 and Kate McDade with a 44 in the breaststroke to get herself back into contention. What a swim from the 15-year-old McDade going in lane 2. But into the freestyle, there's only 2 swimmers in it. It's Molly Mulvey and Nicole Colfer. It's Mulvey who is leading the way, but Colfer is not far behind. She's just on her shoulder. You don't want to be caught between strokes at the moment. Mulvey and Colfer. Who's it to be at the wall? It's going to be Mulvey ahead of Colfer. 1/100th of a second separating the top 2. A brilliant, brilliant battle developing in the water between Mulvey and Colfer. And what a treat to watch these two post personal bests in such emphatic fashion. To heat 4 we go. Lawless, Glynn, Rogers, Ryan, McBride, Smith, Warchell, O'Boyle, Clifford and Dimitrenko. A DNS from Rogers in lane 2. And Lawless has got off very nicely going in lane 0. Rushin Lawless, the 17-year-old from Wexford. So too is the swimmer in 5, Naomi Smith. But it's the Wexford swimmer, Lawless, who is looking the best of the lot coming up to the wall, just ahead of Ryan. Glynn is 3rd. Now this is important for Lawless in the backstroke to see if she can maintain her advantage. She led at the wall, but it's a tight race. Amelie Ryan and Naomi Smith looking really strong in the backstroke. Just hugging the lane rope at the moment is Ryan going in 3, just trying to go as fast as they can in the backstroke and then break into the breaststroke, which is where the race is likely to be decided. So Smith ahead of Ryan, ahead of Lawless. McBride is a little way back. But the battle between the top 3 is an intriguing one, and it comes down to the breaststroke. Lawless is not managing to hold on at the moment. It is Smith who leads from Ryan, with Lawless currently in 3rd. And now coming into her own is Ryan. Ryan with the longer stroke, slightly shorter and choppier from some of the swimmers on her outside. But Ryan and Smith challenging. Lawless will get to the wall 3rd, I think. No, 4th. Ryan, O'Boyle, Smith, Lawless in that order coming into the freestyle. It's a decent comeback from O'Boyle, who swam a very fine breaststroke leg. Jane O'Boyle, the 17-year-old. And Lawless coming back over the freestyle leg, but I'm not sure she's got enough to overhaul everybody in the pool. It is Ryan who is leading the way, and Ryan looking to come to the wall first. It's going to be Ryan ahead of Lawless, I think. Ryan ahead of Lawless indeed, with O'Boyle finishing third. A very fine swim from Amelie Ryan. 2:41.14 beats 2:41.66. Lawless from Wexford. From lane 0, 2:41.66. That is a strong effort. Great result from Ryan over Lawless, over O'Boyle. To heat 5 we go. Steins, Wilson, Hannon, Mann in lane 0 to 3. Nobody in lane 4. In lane 5, it's Brown, Stewart, Brunty, Dooley, and Leiden. Rays of sunshine breaking through the translucent parts of the roof here at the National Aquatic Centre. But an opportunity to swim under lights for many of these young swimmers. It's a rare opportunity and certainly a great learning experience as well. Swimming nicely in lane 1 is Holly Wilson. Holly Wilson also going out in lane 8 is Dooley. Dooley touches just ahead of Wilson after the first 50 meters. After the butterfly stroke, into the backstroke they go, and Dooley is looking to hold on to her advantage, and she's extending her advantage now by over a body length from anybody else around her. She's got Prunty and Leiden both alongside her, but Dooley is well and truly in front. Going strongly in lane 3 is Alison Mann as well. A good breaststroke will see her back into contention here. But Ellen Dooley looking to control this race, slowing up in the closing stages of the backstroke, but she's got the turn to come. So Dooley ahead of Prunty, Leiden outside her, Steins, then Mann into the breaststroke. This is where the race is going to be decided. Dooley still leading the way, and impressively as well, it must be said, in this breaststroke leg. Ellen Dooley, Alison Mann in lane 3 is looking really good. She still looks like she's relatively fresh, but it is Dooley who touches first. 1:58.48 at the wall, the only swimmer to go under 2 minutes at the 1:50 mark. She's ahead of Mann, with Hannon touching third quickest. Isolde Hannon, has she got something to say with the freestyle leg? But Dooley is just extending her advantage here. That was a very fine breaststroke leg from Dooley. And from lane 8, she is going to claim this, barring anything substantial. She's going to come home comfortably in front. And Dooley, with a 2:34.95, she will be absolutely delighted with that. Prunty goes second, Steins touches third, Mann touches only fourth fastest, and Hannon, after a superb breaststroke leg, left behind in the freestyle. But 2:34.95, Ellen Dooley, wow. That's nearly 10 seconds off her PB. Heat 6 of 13. Robinson, McKeown, McNally, Marks, Godden, Lynch, Lynott, Coleman, Byrne, McCormick. Going very nicely from lane 3 is Holly Marks. She'll be looking to improve on her fastest time, a 2:42.12. Holly Marks. Just alongside her is Sarah McNally, who is going very nicely, and McNally looks like she might be a little stronger. Going in lane 5 as well is Lynch, who might come to the wall first. Indeed she does. So Lynch ahead of Marks, ahead of McNally. Lynott finishes 4th after the opening 50 meters, a 33.01, the quickest time at the wall, courtesy of Amy Lynch. Into the backstroke they go, and Holly Marks has fallen away. But Lynch is very much leading the way. The Sunday's World swimmer. A great backstroke leg as well from lane 2 for Sarah McNally, who touches just behind Amy Lynch, who's leading the way. Godden is 3rd. Abby Byrne is 4th overall after the opening 100 meters. Into the breaststroke they go. And this is where the race is going to be decided almost certainly. Marks is coming back nicely. She's putting herself back into position to challenge over the final 50 meters in the freestyle. But Lynch is looking to lead the way. McNally is challenging her to the wall. It's Lynch and McNally who are going to be very close to one another. McNally just ahead of Lynch. McCormack is 3rd, Godden, and then Marks, who again just faded in the closing moments. Then McCormack, a 45.92 breaststroke. That's a superb breaststroke. One of the fastest we've seen so far in this championships. McNally is looking strongest in the freestyle and going nicely in lane 9 is McCormack. But what a swim here. Coming back from Nessa Godden. How about this for a comeback from Godden? Wow, a 34.75. Absolutely superb from Nessa Godden, 2:37.55. She posts the winning time. That is emphatic, Nessa Godden. A 2:41 swimmer at her best, 2:37.55 she posts ahead of Sarah McNally. The final heat of the women's 200-meter individual medley. Dawson, McDade, Solon, Walsh, Burns, Kenny, O'Toole, Curry, Murphy, and Lynch go in this event. And a very strong start from all the competitors effectively in this 50-meter fly. So 50 meters of butterfly, 50 meters of backstroke, 50 meters of breaststroke, and then 50 meters of freestyle. And there is very little separating the swimmers. Dawson, McDade, Solon, Walsh, Burns, Kenny, O'Toole, Curry, Murphy, Lynch. They're all very tight together. McDade over Kenny, over Walsh, over Burns, over Solon. But separated effectively by half a second, the top 5. But when they come into the backstroke, you'll see the field starting to spread just a little, I suspect, and then into the breaststroke, you will see the field spread significantly. It's Daisy O'Toole who's pushing the pace here. Daisy O'Toole going in lane 6 is looking the strongest of the swimmers in the backstroke, and she gives a little bit of space for herself. It's Amy Dawson as well in lane 0 who shows some strength in the backstroke, and the Lisbon swimmer touches 2nd behind O'Toole. Into the breaststroke they go, and watch the shark swimmer on her outside, Olivia Curry in the breaststroke. Now Curry is going to try to come back. Curry is coming back, certainly at O'Toole, but Amy Dawson is still holding on to her spot near the front. Dawson, and Anna McDade is showing a really strong breaststroke leg as well. Anna McDade going in lane 1. She might get herself into contention to touch at the wall quickest. So McDade ahead of Dawson, ahead of Burns. There's not much separating the swimmers. Into the freestyle they go now. And McDade and Dawson are having an intense battle on the near side lanes, but it looks to be Dawson who is leading the way, and Dawson is just starting to pull away now. Dawson leading by a body length. It's a very strong finish as well though from lane 7, Olivia Curry. Do not discount Curry. Curry is absolutely flying in lane 7. It's a battle between Dawson and Curry. It's going to be Dawson, I think, just ahead of Curry. It is Dawson just ahead of Curry, 2:38.36, 2:38.60. And what a way to end the 200-meter medley, the individual medley heats at the Irish Youth and Senior Summer Nationals. Next event in the pool is the men's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly. We'll start with Heat 1 that features 6 swimmers: Oisin McGrath, Cathal Smith, Ben Coleman, Niall McNary, Conal Gillard, and Dovydas Petrauskas. We're underway in the heats for the men's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly. 2 lengths of this Olympic-sized pool. And a real opportunity here for a couple of swimmers to stick up their hands and show what they can achieve. And these are all 15-year-olds who will be swimming in this opening heat of 20. 12 of these heats will be swum in this session. And coming up towards the first 50, it is Ben Coleman who leads from Petrauskas, with Cathal Smith third. Oisin McGrath currently fourth. Petrauskas and Coleman having an interesting battle here. They're alternating in strokes. It is Coleman who's just ahead of Petrauskas. Coleman had the better turn, arguably, and he's holding it in the water. It's Coleman ahead of Petrauskas, who looks like he's going to get there first. And caught mid-stroke, nearly caught him out. In the end, 0.32 of a second. Conal Gillard touches third quickest. Cathal Smith, fourth quickest. Niall McNary comes home fifth, the Lisburn swimmer. And Oisin McGrath, sixth. To heat 2, Halaskevich, Fox, White, Higgins, Nugent, Ralston, Zumaras, McGarvey, Dempsey and Brown. The 100-meter butterfly for men. 2 lengths of this Olympic pool. Going nicely in lane 1 at the moment is Fox. And Fox may very well be leading the way. Going in lane 3 is Ryan Higgins, and he looks good as well. It's Fox and Higgins. And Brown, not to be discounted, from lane 9. In fact, touches first. Does Brown ahead of Fox, Ralston and Higgins next. Halaskevich, 5th overall, and Brown is showing some wonderful speed after a fine turn going from lane 9. Brown is leading the way. Tom Brown of Portmarnock. Is he going to hold it all the way to the wall? It is Brown, surely, who's got it just ahead of Ralston. Dempsey comes in 1:10.39, good enough for third. Zumaras fourth. What a swim from Tom Brown after the turn. Extended his advantage beautifully. Goes sub 109, 108.71 wins it. Heat 2 of 20. The National Aquatic Centre, where this Irish Youth and Senior Championships is being held. It's a glorious, glorious championships, and indeed so many swimmers have posted personal bests, and among those hoping to post personal bests of their own and potentially make finals are Buckley, Kenny, Walsh, Duggan, Niblock, Gavican, Carty, McNally, Konstantinescu and Kravchenko. The men's 100-meter butterfly for men 15 and over getting underway. Breaking water really, really early was McNally. And Kevin McNally looked to be going very nicely indeed. Matthew Walsh going in lane 2 is looking strong as well. So Walsh and McNally, who look to be the front two at the moment, coming up to the wall at 50. At the halfway mark, it is McNally just ahead of Walsh, with Evan Buckley in lane 0, touching third quickest, not too far back. And much depends on the turn. And this is where a turn can be so important. McNally and Walsh still battling one another as they come up towards the 25-meter mark to go. Buckley has just fallen a little away at the moment, and now starting to fall away as well is McNally. It looks to be Walsh who's going to hold this, but there's a fight back here from Buckley coming in lane 0. Buckley might be the one to win it, and Buckley at the wall takes it brilliantly, a 109.41 swimming in lane 0. You don't want to be in lane 0 or in lane 9, and indeed Evan Buckley has done one of the most difficult things you can do in the pool, and that's to win from the outside lane. Evan Buckley, superb. 109.41 takes it. To heat 4 we go. McCallum, Greenan, Glover, Price, Murphy, Bui, Morrow, Aids, McDowell and O'Callaghan. It looks to be a really good advantage by Patrick Bui after his start. Patrick Bui is looking phenomenally strong and leading by a good half a body length here, coming up towards the 50-meter mark. It's Bui who touches at the wall a full second ahead of Kieran Murphy. John McCullum in lane 0 touches third quickest, but it is Patrick Bui who is leading the way and extending his advantage over the field magnificently here. Great kick, gets the body nicely out of the water, shoulders out of the water, nice clean turn. The cupped hands breaking the water, and he'll take this victory by some margin, but he's caught between strokes. It's a 105.01 for Bui, ahead of Price, a 108.25. But how about that for a dominant swim from Patrick Bui? A 109.99 swim is his seed time coming into this. He swims 105.01, effectively takes 5 seconds off his seed time. Price second, McDowell finishes third, McCullum fourth. We'll go to heat 5 now of the men's 15 and over 100-meter butterfly. Ayler, Morrow, James, Sweeney, Noonan, Fitzpatrick, Kilcommons, Foley, Patton, Winston and Duffy are the swimmers who'll go in lanes 0 to 9. Getting into the pool and getting into his stroke really quickly was Tiernan Foley going in lane 6, but he's just fallen by the wayside a little now. Going very quickly in lane 3 is Luke Sweeney Noonan, while in lane 6 Foley threatens a bit of a comeback. The man looking good at the moment is Aslan Ayler going in lane 0, but Luke Sweeney Noonan still looking really good going in lane 3. I'm delighted to say that David Thompson is back with me in the commentary booth, and a sprinter in his day. There's been some decent sprinting in this fly.
Yes, there has. There was some good sprinting earlier in the faster heats. Obviously, these are the slower heats, the middle heats, giving all these swimmers a chance to race at this year's Irish Summer Nationals. So, expect there to be less of a spread here. And it looks like, just as Dwayne called it, lane number 0 looking very strong. Aslan Ayler, right down in the bottom of your picture in a wee moment in the blue hat.
Yeah, Ayler looks to be finishing fastest here. Ayler looks to be coming to the wall ahead of James and Sweeney Noonan. And it is Ayler who touches ahead of James. Sweeney Noonan 3rd, Fitzpatrick 4th, and Kilcommons touches 5th quickest, 106.09.
Yeah, big drop there for Ayler. He's entered on a 109, come down to a 106.0. So all these swimmers will not be really expecting to get back for finals tonight. So they'll all just be looking for best times. That's all they care about. End of season best times. Giving all these swimmers a chance.
Heat 6 of 12 that'll be swum in this session. Fraser, Horton, Streltsov, Hanley, McIver, Carroll, Kasky, Lau, Tui and Lean.
Hundred butterfly all about momentum and carrying momentum through from the start, whole way through to that first 50. So you can't try too hard. You've got to let your body do the work, let your kick carry you through it. Try and relax the arms in this first sort of 35, 40 meters. Build into the turn, and then when you come off that turn, it's just gung-ho the whole way to the wall. So bottom of your picture here, lane number 2, Stretzlov, and lane number 1, Luke Horton from Lisburn, the early leaders. 29.7 for Horton, 30.0 for Stretzlov.
Yeah, Horton looking really good over the first 50 meters, but we've seen how important the turns are as well for many of these younger swimmers. It's something that I suppose you learn to improve on as you mature as a swimmer. But these two, Horton and Streltsov, side by side with 25 to go.
Yeah, turn's so important, and just as Dwayne said, you do learn that. You learn the importance of it. It was popularized by Michael Phelps in the mid-2000s and early 2000s, that underwater kick. And now you cannot be a good butterfly swimmer without that underwater kick. But it looks like Streslov taking this heat number 6 here. Good swim from him, 105.59. Horton hung on for the second place in a 66. And Lau from lane 7, the Ballymena swimmer, in 3rd.
Cody Lau came back nicely as well to finish 3rd at 107.53, but Streltsov and Horton 1 and 2 in the 6th heat of 20. Only 12 of the heats, though, will be swum in this session. To heat 7 we go. Nobody in lane 0, but it's Hall, McWeeny, O'Keefe, Corbett, Rice, Brennan, Lunny, Spillan, and Bishik. Kirskas goes in 9.
Yeah, no lane 0 looks like here.
Lane 0, nearest to your screen. Getting away very nicely going in lane 5 is Matthew Rice. Maybe looking to hold on to the advantage here, but going in 3. And it looks like Jamie O'Keefe has gotten into his stroke very nicely, and so too in lane 1, Killian Hall.
Yeah, a bit closer to this heat now. The start's so important on any 100-meter stroke. You got to have a nice start getting you through to that 25, 30 meters. You know, if your start suffers, you will suffer, especially on that front end. O'Keefe had a fantastic underwater, off that dive, and he's got a really comfortable lead, looking really nice. That head coming up quite high. We need to tuck that chin in a wee bit more, but that's just me being picky. but he's moving through the water. He's got a high stroke rate, and 2 lanes above him. In lane number 6, is it?
Rice
in lane
going
number
in
5.
yeah.
Looking very, very nice. Rice coming through like a freight train here at the end. Nice low head position. He could be a 104, 105.
Might take it. Rice maybe just at the wall. It is Rice ahead of O'Keefe, ahead of Hall. What a finish from Matthew Rice. At last 25 meters, superb from Matthew Rice. 105.48, breaks the 106 mark, and he'll take that as a PB.
Yeah. You will notice swimmers, especially on butterfly and 100 fly and a 200 fly, slow up or speed up more because it's such a demanding event, because of the nature of the stroke. If you tire, you will slow up a lot. So that's why you see swimmers seem to almost accelerate into the wall. They're not accelerating, they're just decelerating less than the rest of the field.
To Heat 8, Cahill, O'Neill, Breen, Burke, McGoldrick, Konstantinov, McGrath, Fitzpatrick, Lynch and Kavanagh.
Yeah, number 6 staying under a long time. That's Aidan McGrath using the underwaters, and he's right up there.
We're going nicely in lane 2. Thomas Breen looks to be leading the way at the moment. Thomas Breen, decent technique. Shoulders nice and high out above the water. Hands cupped.
Yeah, a lot of purpose to his stroke, you know. He's getting out there with a lot of intent. He's on a 28.72. That's a very nice front 50, and right next to him, O'Neill, 28 and 98. So it's going to be a good battle down this back 50 to see who takes it.
O'Neill still only 16 years old compared to Thomas Breen, who's 18, and a little bit of a comeback as well from Nate Cahill in lane 0, putting pressure on the 2 outside him, Neil and Breen, in the closing stages.
Yeah, bottom 3 swimmers battling it out here. Like I said at the start of this hit, it's about who decelerates the least. It looks like it's O'Neill with the stronger finish. Can he get the finish right? Yeah, he did. 104.24 for Dara O'Neill. Nate Cahill from lane 0, also in the 104s. And Aidan McGrath, 65.4 for your heat number 8. Only, what, 4 heats to go, something like that, in this event?
Heat 9 of 20 is up next, but only 12 will be swum in this session. Walchuk, Hutchinson, Blackwell, Hanrahan, Delaney, Mallet, Nugent, Mawini, Martin, and McElroy Sanchez.
Absolutely love that name, Pablo McElroy Sanchez. I wish I was called that. I have a boring name.
That's a fantastic underwater from the man going. Whoa, has he gone beyond the 15
Yeah, he's
meter
gone
mark?
beyond.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't get deked there in lane number 5. Who was that? Aidan Mallet.
Yeah, it looked like his underwater was superb, but then just came up a little too late, broke
I was
water
willing
beyond
him
the 15 meter.
I was willing him to get up, but he just wasn't. But he's out in front anyway, so we'll see if the race referee spotted that one. We'll say nothing up here.
Indeed. Hutchinson looking decent as well, going in lane 1. He touches second behind Mallet, who's quickest through the first 50 meters in this men's 100 fly.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a real shame if he does get disqualified, because he's having a fantastic race here. He didn't need to push that extra meter or 2 underwater. Look how low his head position is, and massive, massive wingspan for Mallet, the Lisburn swimmer.
But going well in lane 1 as well is Hutchinson. And Hutchinson looking to apply a little bit of pressure in the closing stages. Maybe just fading a little, but it is going to be Mallet in a 102.50 ahead of Hutchinson. Delaney touches 3rd quickest, and Nugent touches 4th. But we'll wait to see. Indeed, these are DQ. So Mallet has been DQ'd. He's gone beyond the 15 meter mark underwater. You need to break water before the 15 meter mark. It's not something, an infringement that you see too often though in championships.
No, you won't see it at the high level. You know, you might see it at, you know, competitions like this, juniors that are still playing about and, you know, learning how to race. This is all about learning and understanding that, okay, you got to take 1 or 2 less kicks and you will get disqualified. The referee will see it. So, yeah, you don't see it that often. I haven't seen it in a very long time for that certain infringement anyway.
But he can certainly take heart from that time. It's gun power, Gang, Kutlu, Kelly, Lipscomb, O'Connor, Pusher, McGlew and Hunt to go next in Heat 10 of the 100 fly. And a decent looking start here in lane 1 from Luca Power, who's showing some power in the stroke.
Absolutely he is. He's looking really nice kind of high stroke rate there. Down in lane number 1. But I really like the stroke of lane number 4, Ben Kelly of Trojan. He's got that chin super low. You know, keeping everything moving forward. In butterfly, you'll have a tendency as you get tired to go up and down and up and down. But you got to keep it all moving forwards. Use the momentum of your hands to pull yourself through the water and lunge forward. But as Dwayne said, is lane number 1, Luca Power, powering down this last 50.
Yeah, and he looks to have the lead. Kelly is not looking bad. There's some strong finishes coming from McGlue and Hunt out in lanes 8 and 9. But Kelly and Power are the front two. But it looks to be Power who's going to, pardon the bad pun, power his way to the wall. Indeed, he gets there first. 104.77, the quickest of the heats that we've seen so far. 104.77, coming back in 35.36. He'll take that.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of best times here this morning, you know, as you usually would do. Sorry, it's not this morning anymore, it's this afternoon. A lot of best times at these summer competitions because it's a culmination of the training all year for 11 months, you know. So I always, as junior, as an age group, are always PB'd at these competitions because you know, these kids are all growing up and getting stronger every single day.
Heat 11 we go. Bowen, Flynn, Houlihan, Tanvir, O'Connor, Cascante, McAteer, Fain, Martin and Ward. The penultimate heat. The penultimate heat of the men's 100 fly. And again, some decent underwaters. Certainly from lane 4, Sean O'Connor looked to be underwater very nicely, and he's come up in front and looking to lead. Cian Houlihan is looking decent in lane 2 as well. And alongside him is Louis Flynn going nicely in lane 1. A little bit of sunshine breaking through the
yeah, a little bit of sunshine, always nice to see. Hasn't been too much of that here in Ireland in July, so maybe see if we get some sunshine swims here. It is O'Connor, 28.34 on the way out. He'd like to be a little bit more ahead than that, than 0.1, but had a great underwater.
O'Connor leading the way with 25 meters to go, just falling by the wayside. Cian Houlihan just falling a little back now, looks to power his way. Going in lane 1 is Louis Flynn. Flynn looks to be pushing hard in the closing stages. Might Flynn have what it takes to come up and claim the victory in this race? Indeed, a little glide to the wall and Louis Flynn takes it. 103.02, 103.57 for Houlihan, and 103.71. Good enough for third for Sean O'Connor.
Yeah, straight down into the 103s here. Flynn, Houlihan, O'Connor and Bowen all dipping below that 104 barrier. None of them had been that before. So all best times there, all summing off each other. You know, sometimes you got to forget about your own tactics and just race the person next to you. That's a skill in itself. But on to the last heat of this 100 fly.
Heat 12 of 12 that you'll see in the session. Agbaje, Amelia, Kelly, Wong, Holmes, Trainer, Gray, Woolley, Kavanagh and Hayes. It's a lovely start from Luke Woolley going in lane 7. He got off to a really explosive start and he's looking to make it count in the water as well. Going nicely in lane 3 is Adrian Wong as well, the 17-year-old Trojan swimmer.
Yeah, these guys are all entered in 104s, so expect there to be a few 102s, maybe even sneaking in a 101. You know, these swimmers will be dropping big time. He's got a lovely, powerful stroke. Adrian Wong in lane number 3, the Trojan swimmer. He's out in a 28.3, he's staying under for a wee bit of time. But powering through, and top of your picture as well, that's Luke Woolley in lane number 7, the blue hat, the cool mind swimmer. What a great shot there. How low the head positions are, but
yeah.
Bottom of your picture too, the Bangor swimmer.
Woolley is looking very strong, but at the moment it looks like Wong is the man to catch. Wong is going to take this to the wall under a little bit of pressure from Woolley going in lane 7. It looks to be Wong who's going to take it. Almost caught between strokes, decided to glide to the wall, but he has enough. 102.50. Adrian Wong takes a big chunk off his PB, effectively 2 seconds off his PB. And Adrian Wong, 102.50, the Trojan swimmer, takes it ahead of Ruben Agbaje. Luke Woolley and Agbaje touching in the same time for second behind Wong. Now to the final event, 3 heats in this session. And we'll be looking at least another hour in the pool. We have 3 heats in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle. So Donovan, Coughlin, O'Connor, Edgar, Malkova, Russell, O'Loughlin, Brophy, Dorr, Nolan and Duddy will go. This event that's been dominated by the peerless Katie Ledecky on the international circuit. Again, a world champion in the women's 1,500 meters and the inaugural women's 1,500 meter champion at the Olympic Games when she won in Tokyo, where the event was contested for the very first time. Katie Ledecky dominated this event worldwide, and having won in Tokyo, you remember the tears.
Yeah.
Put the goggles back on the face, tried to hide the tears.
Yeah, I think she had a rough few months
Yeah.
training, didn't she? I think she moved programs, and you know, she's not really arguably. I think she probably is the greatest female swimmer of all time. I don't think there's anybody really you could say would be better in terms of dominance.
Yeah, in terms of dominance in a particular event.
I honestly think she owns the top 20 or 30 1,500 times in history.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, there was no doubt she's... I mean, was London... When did she win? Was it London? No. Yeah, London 2012
London.
gold. 15 years old or
Yep.
something like that. It's
In
crazy.
the 800.
11 years of dominance.
So getting underway in the women's 15 and over 1,500 meter freestyle. We can expect times of around 20 minutes in the pool. But some of these swimmers are going to look to go not only below 20 seconds, but below their PB times. Michaela Malkova, for example, a seed time, the Czech swimmer coming in at 19:52. She'll be hoping to go well below that. We got Ella Carroll to come in the heats as well, and she's a 17:47 swimmer at her best. But this is the slower of the heats. So we've got O'Connor leading through the opening 50 meters. That's one length of the pool. There are 30 lengths to be completed by the swimmers before they get out of the pool at the end of the 1,500 meter. And there are a number of elements to the swimming, and I think one of the most significant I've heard from swimmers and coaches is how to break the race down, because concentration wanes during a 1,500 meter. Sometimes swimmers like to hug the lane rope and go into that training mode almost, where there's an almost metronomic stroke about their performance. Others like to break the race up, break the field down, take an early lead and try to stay in front, which Katie Ledecky does tend to do as well when she's in the pool. How do you see the race being broken down by some of these swimmers, and particularly as they're learning about their own swimming?
Yeah, I think each, individual swimming race has their own tactics, but a 1,500 is, there's generally not a crazy amount of tactics to it. You have to swim your own race. All these swimmers will do a lot of pace work, pace 50s, pace 100s at this 1,500 pace. Crazy long sets. So all these swimmers you're going to see in the pool here over heats 1, 2, and 3, they'll do the most yardage per week out of everybody. I saw him 1,500 as a junior swimmer, progressed into sprinting as I was older. But they'll look at it where, the first 100, 150, 200 will take care of itself, and then it's about, like you said, it's like a metronome. You got to tick over, tick over, tick over. And in terms of concentration, they're used to training like this, so they have the boards at the far end. You'll not be able to see them right now, but when they get to the other side of the pool, you'll see the boards that the officials have, and that indicates how many lengths they have left. So the odd, if they lose track maybe of where they are, they get into a rhythm, they can pop their head up, have a wee look at how many lengths they got left. At the minute, it's going to be 25 lengths, and go from there. So generally, if I'm commentating on high level 1,500 meter swimmers, around the 300 mark to go is when they begin to sort of pick up the pace and the energy. You'll sort of see a lot of 1,500s. You see it in athletics, don't you, Dwayne, where they'll just run off each other for the first, like Mo Farah in the 5K or 10K, they'll run off each other for the first, and they may be way off the world record or way off their best time, but they're just running off each other, and then when one goes for the finish, similar in cycling, then they all have to go. So the 1,500 isn't entirely different from that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you speak to a very, very important element. As much as we talk about important times and bettering your personal best, times are secondary at many major international events because it's about winning the medal. It's about where you finish, and finishing first, second, and third is ultimately what it's all about. It's not really about the times, and you've got to be aware of what's happening around you. At the moment, though, it's Emily Edgar of Lisburn who is leading the way, going in lane 3. She comes up to the wall now. 3:44.55 through 300 meters, ahead of Amy Russell, ahead of Katie O'Connor. Maya O'Loughlin Brophy back in the pool again in this session. 3:48, she goes through 300 meters. But it's an interesting looking swim here.
Yeah, she's
from the swimmer in lane 3, Emily Edgar, who looks to be extending her advantage by a couple of body lengths here.
Yeah, she's broken the field, comfortably. So the other 4 around her are all swimming right off each other, but she's definitely broken the field. And you will see this. Swimmers pushing out ahead, trying to sort of exert their dominance on the race and sort of dare others to catch them. But Dwayne spoke earlier there, a few moments ago, about, at these big competitions, if you're watching the World Championships at the minute over in Fukuoka, it is about just getting your hand on the wall and getting that gold medal. If you ask any swimmer what would they prefer, an Olympic medal or a world record, I guarantee a lot of them would say Olympic medal. There's plenty of swimmers who have broken the world record but never won an Olympic medal.
Indeed.
I think it was a famous story of her name escapes me, of an American swimmer, and that notoriously their Olympic trials are very cutthroat. You got to make top 2 or you're not going. And I think it was in the 100 backstroke for the 2004 Olympics. She broke the world record in the heat, fastest swimmer ever. She broke it again in the semi, and then she came 3rd in the final. She didn't go to the Olympics, and she was the world record holder. Never won an Olympic medal. So that's how cutthroat swimming can be at the top level. But I suppose that's why we love it as well.
Indeed, there are so many unpredictable elements to the world of swimming. That's why we love it. The unpredictability of sport by its sheer nature is so brilliant. Maya O'Loughlin Brophy looks to be making a little bit of a move herself now. Not quite catching Emily Edgar, but she's just pushing the tempo a little. Every now and then you see swimmers just up the tempo, little bursts of speed in the water as well. So Edgar ahead of O'Loughlin Brophy. O'Connor touches 3rd quickest. Still 21 lengths of the pool to go for these swimmers. It's difficult to change gears, though, in some of these distance events when you get into that rhythm.
Very, very difficult. So these swimmers are using their aerobic system. They're not using their anaerobic system at all. So aerobic system, for those who don't know the difference between aerobic and anaerobic, the aerobic system uses oxygen to produce energy. So on the sprint events, you will use your anaerobic system, which will use stored carbohydrates and stored glycogen, which runs out very, very quickly, but it's more powerful, whereas the aerobic system is longer. And for these distance swimmers, it's all about aerobic swimming. Whereas when I was sprinting, 50-meter freestyle, 100-meter freestyle, it's less aerobic and more anaerobic. So they'll be using their aerobic system for the majority of this race, but when they begin to sprint right at the end, maybe the last 50 or last 100, they won't have tapped into their anaerobic system, so they'll still have that to use. If you almost view it like a battery, the aerobic system the aerobic system battery will last a very long time. The anaerobic system battery is more powerful, but lasts a short amount of time. So you'll see it at the top level. You'll see some of the, if you watched the 800-meter freestyle yesterday, where Daniel Whiffen, great European record, 7:39, but only managed to come 4th. Just shows you how crazy that field is. The winner came back in his last 50 was at 25 something. So that's why they can tap in and almost appear like they're sprinting the back end of 100. So, but the majority of this race is aerobic, and the better your aerobic system, the faster you're going to be able to go.
So some decent swims from many of the athletes in this competition. Emily Edgar, perhaps looking to post a personal best here as well. Through 600 meters, she's 7:34.90. 1,500 meter race this is, the women's 1,500 meter. And some good work off the walls as well. It's not as significant, you would argue, in the longer distances to have that great work off the walls, but it is very much a nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, you don't associate the great 1,500 swimmers with great walls. You don't associate Ledecky with great walls. You don't associate Grant Hackett with great walls. Gregorio Palciner, you don't associate them with good turns because it's not seemingly about the turns. Because even though they do more turns than anybody else.
That's right, 29 in total.
But so it's quite strange. There's a swimmer, Romanchuk from Ukraine, has extremely good turns.
Yes.
Where he glides into the wall and he almost pushes off and he does like one kick, but he just goes forever. But it is definitely less important, I think, because they're not carrying the same speed into the in and out of the turns as you are in 100 or 200. I'm trying to just work out maybe why that is, and because you get gaps like this, big gaps where, you know, you may lose 0.1, 0.2 on a turn, but if you're leading by 15 odd seconds, it doesn't really matter. We're nearing the halfway point, aren't we?
Yeah, we are indeed.
Is that halfway now?
Emily Edgar is leading the way. Not quite, one more length to go. 8:52.39 for Emily Edgar. Maya Lofton Brophy is looking decent in lane 6. 8:58.42. She touched through the 700 meter mark. We are coming up to the halfway mark now. And for some of the swimmers, they'll be taking note of the times that they posted throughout the race as well at the various marks. I'm just trying to see how they swam the race, post it, they'll break it down. 9:30.03 for Emily Edgar through the halfway mark. And 9:30.03. If she can keep up that pace, she's certainly got a personal best on her hands.
Yeah, she does for sure. She's having a great swim, the Lisburn swimmer, coached by Stan Shepherd. Out at Lisburn there, that was my original club, way back. That's where I swam as a kid. So Stan actually coached me as a junior. So Lisburn having a great meet there. Some great freestylers coming out of that program now. The only Lisburn swimmer actually in the field in this race, yeah, it is. So, you know, 1500, a lonely one to train for. You know, it's definitely very unique. You know, I do not envy 1500, 800 swimmers. But you see it doing any 1500 swimmer or 800 swimmer you meet, they absolutely love it.
Yes, they do.
So, for some, must be twisted in the head to love that. But
were you a sprinter, David Thompson?
yes, I was.
But it's interesting to note that you started here. You started in the longer distances. It's very interesting to note that.
Most swimmers do. Most swimmers will start with a big aerobic base, you know, to build that fitness. Because if you don't build that fitness base as a junior, it's very hard to build it as a senior. You know, you like I was swimming off a lot of the work I did as a junior from the ages of 13 to maybe 18, 19, 20. You know, well into my mid-20s, late 20s when I swam my fastest. So it's sort of synonymous with a lot of swimmers. And as well, you as a kid, your body can undergo that more intense training. You know, you don't need the same amount of recovery, and you know yourself as you're younger, you've got more energy, don't you?
Yeah, indeed. When you're this age, you're made of magic. Many of the swimmers in this field are just 15 years old. We have a couple up to 18, Amy Russell and Sophie Nolan. But yes, made of magic certainly when you're younger. In your 20s, still very much. In your 30s, things start to get a little more difficult. And by the time you hit 40, if you haven't retired, there's something absolutely remarkable about you. Dare we say Roland Skumand again?
Yeah, when's he up? Is he just doing the 53, is he?
Yeah, 53.
Yeah, must be, that's usually towards the end, isn't it? Day 7 or something like that. He'll go very fast, won't he? You know he will.
It's ridiculous some of the times that he's still posting. His underwater is exceptional. His explosive start off the blocks gives him a little bit of an edge, certainly.
One of the best starters of all time, probably.
And the ability not to take breaths during the race is so significant as well.
Remember watching him in the South African team in Athens, 2004 Olympics. They took the gold medal in the 4x100 meter freestyle relay.
Darian Townsend, Lyndon Ferns, Ryk Neethling, and Roland Skumand.
How do you pronounce that name?
Ryk Neethling.
Ryk Neethling.
Yes.
Fantastic. I remember as a kid when I was just watching swimming the Athens Olympics with Ian Thorpe as well and the other events. But that South African team was just 4 cool dudes, and Skumand was just so much speed he had in that first 50.
Yeah.
Fantastic to watch. Seems like a lifetime ago. Well, it is a lifetime ago now.
It was a lifetime ago. It says Ryk Neethling. What did he swim? I think it was 46.79. I think 100 meters to.
Was he in that race?
Yeah, in that race.
In 2004, that was
ridiculous how quick that was back then. Because it was only really Peter van den Hogenband who was swimming those sort of times back then.
Yeah, he won the gold there in that event. Don't know how Schumann. If you go back on YouTube and watch that race, men's 100 freestyle final Athens, Hogenband wins. Schumann gets gold or silver, but Schumann goes out like a train. He's so far ahead, about 75 meters, and Van den Hogenband just claws him in. And Thorpe actually got the bronze in that one from lane 8, if you remember.
Yeah, haven't they named the pool in Eindhoven after Peter van den Hoogenband?
Yeah, slamming it. Fantastic pool. Fantastic pool.
So,
but no change here in the pool. Still Emily Edgar just storming ahead in her own wee sort of world at the minute. And she'll be now beginning the thought will be flirting with her head to begin to pick up the pace. You know, she'll. It's crazy how in tune these swimmers are with how fast they're going. They'll know exactly what times they're almost repping out.
Yeah.
You know, they'll know by how their body's feeling, how their legs are feeling, even how their breath is. You know, so.
And this is now 400 meters to go, and this is how some of the swimmers I've noted have broken a race down, where they'll swim the first 400 meters, they'll then go into sort of not a trance, but they will go into a trance-like state, and then in the final 400 meters or 300 meters, they will note where they are and try to up the pace accordingly as to where they are in a position in the race. Others will break the race down. I've heard coaches talking about the fact that they want their swimmers to break the race into 500 meters, 500 meters, 500 meters.
I've seen that.
Try to keep them focused and go through. A few swimmers have spoken about 750, but that you hear of less often.
I remember listening to a podcast. I can't remember where it was, but it was talking about Grant Hackett and how he almost broke it down into 15 100s.
Wow!
Right? So every second 50, he would try and almost pick it up slightly, and then get back into the rhythm. And then second 50, pick it up, and then so every 50 coming back the way. So if you're looking at the screen right now, you're right to left. He would pick it up ever so slightly, and then back into his rhythm, and that would keep his sort of. He found it easier just to rep it like that as opposed to breaking it down into big segments. So, but it's very individual. The more traditional way, like Dwayne said, would be the first 300-400 meters, settle into it, and by the 400 meters you want to be at a good pace and a pace you can hold, and then almost like robotic mode for the next 1,000 or so, or no 800 or so meters, and then the last 300, then you're beginning to really go to the legs and begin to pick up. What you don't want to do is finish the race and have more left.
Yeah. That is decidedly against what you would like to do. I remember interacting a lot with the great Osama Balouli, the Tunisian long-distance swimmer. And
remember that race in Beijing?
Oh, still phenomenal. Africa's greatest distance racer.
Can't believe he won that race.
Yeah,
although watching it.
Ahmed Hafnoui looks like he's one to watch for the future. Just 18 years old, he won an Olympic gold medal in Tokyo. And that, I suppose, was one of the great moments of the Tokyo Olympic Games in the pool.
Yeah, he was Tunisia's only gold medal, or only medal maybe, or something at that Olympics.
Yeah,
won it from lane 8.
Won it from lane 8. That is exactly it. And there was huge celebrations back in Africa when Hafnoui won what they called a shock 400-meter gold, and certainly right up there with Katie Ledecky winning the 1.5. Yeah. Out there with Ariana Titmus's 400 free victory, and up there with Tatjana Schoenmaker's world record 200-meter breaststroke. Certainly picking out a couple of highlights, but Emily Edgar here is swimming the smart race, and her kicking has just been. Sometimes swimmers get into a bit of a situation where they almost trail the legs a little. She's not. She's been very focused on getting her legs into a good position, kicking not too much splash as well. Very settled is Emily Edgar, and leading very comfortably from lane 3. So Emily Edgar with 150 meters to go, 17:14. She's in the pool.
She's got a PB, like good bit actually, isn't she?
Yep.
She should do. What's she entered on there, Dwayne? I don't have the sheet.
1959.
59. So she has already crept under that 20-minute barrier. So maybe the shackles are off, and now in swimming that's so real. Whenever you break a barrier that seems so hard to break, whenever you do it, the next time you actually break it by miles. Once the mental. So there's the bell.
There's the bell. Yeah.
So you'll get the bell for 100 meters to go. And now watch the legs. The legs have to go now. There's nothing left for it.
Oh, look at the tempo increase.
So I say she's kicking into that anaerobic system now. Loving how she's looking here. Look at that low breath and off. A junior swimmer. That's fantastic. Nice high elbow, low breath. The lower you keep your breath, so when I talk about low breath, for those of you that don't know at home, she's not lifting her head and neck right out of the water. She's just turning it. You can only see a slight part of her mouth. What that does is it limits her head movement, and by limiting your head movement, you're going to limit your body movement, which means the less your body moves from side to side or up and down, the more streamlined you're going to be. So your head position is so important in swimming. But look at her now, she's flying down this back 50. She's going to be 19:10 maybe, something like that. So big drop for her. She'll be over the moon.
Yeah, she'll be absolutely delighted with this. Just 15 years old. And this is the culmination of preparation and opportunity that has led the swimmers here, and opportunities for certain swimmers to post personal bests, to reach milestones for themselves. Not quite sub 19 minutes, but this is still a massive, massive personal best for Emily Edgar.
Good on her.
19:07. She wins this first heat of 3 in the women's 1,500 meter freestyle. There are some athletes still taking the bell, but Emily Edgar is home in 19:07, and that is just fantastic. The battle developing here is for second place. O'Loughlin Brophy and Amy Russell look to be having a little bit of a battle. It looks to be Amy Russell who's going to finish second, and it is Russell just ahead of O'Loughlin Brophy. 19:35.10, 19:35.99. O'Connor is home as well. 19:39.35, and Michaela Malkova 19:40.59 for the Czech swimmer. All personal bests for these young swimmers.
Yeah, they're all down well into that 18 minutes there, aren't they? So, of course, after you swim a 1,500, they want to look around and have a good best time. Must be heartbreaking to be over your PB on a 1,500. On a 50, it was fine for me if I was over my best, because it's just the one length. But great effort from these girls. Those of you watching at home, it's a very mentally tough event to do. So, great work. Still got a swimmer swimming here. 2 swimmers, excuse me. Coming in to finish the first heat of this, the women's 1,500 meter freestyle.
Yeah, Duddy going in lane 9, Donovan going in lane 0, Dorr going in lane 7. Is just touched now to finish 8th. Duddy will want to finish this coming from lane 9. She's still out in the pool. The 15-year-old.
Yeah, 15's young to be.
City of Derry swimmer.
Very young to be doing this 1,500. Don't underestimate how tough it is for only 15 years of age to be jumping in here at the National Aquatic Centre. It's a big arena. All right, it's an international arena. We've got the European Under-23 Championships here in a few weeks. Right, so it's capable of hosting these big events. So it is daunting for these swimmers to dive in and swim. So great. And she'll have learned so much from this. PB or not PB, it doesn't matter. She'll have learned a lot. Good swim. Emer Duddy.
Confirming Emily Edgar with a fine swim, 19:07, knocking an enormous amount of time off her personal best. Emily Edgar from Lisburn, just 15 years old, ahead of Amy Russell. Heat 2 of 3 in the women's 1,500 meter. King, Smith, Kelly, Feerick, Svoboda, Svodova, Robson, Nolan, Ryan, Connolly and O'Keefe.
Heat number 2 here, so expect a bit of a drop in time now from these middle swimmers. So if you tuned in before here on the last 1,500, we were talking about tactics and how these swimmers will approach it. Very important in this first 50 to not get excited and spin your wheels and go too quick. Very, very easy to do. You know, you gotta treat it like the race it is. It's a long race. So you have to settle in nicely. Don't overexert yourself in this first 100, 150 meters. Actually longer, 200 meters probably, because you've still got 1,300 to go. So very early on, you want to be settling in to your right rhythm. The first 100 will always be faster than the rest of it because of the dive and the energy and, the thrill of being in doing a 1,500. So
I was going to ask you if that comes into it. I mean, is there an element of adrenaline, the excitement, the build-up to a major championship here? It's the culmination of a year's swimming, effectively, an entire season. Is there an element of that breaks in for the swimmers?
It is massively, and you have to be very aware of it on these more distance events, not so much on the sprint events, because you dive in, you sprint, you go as fast as you can until you're finished. But with these events, if you dive in and sprint as fast as you can, when you're
in trouble.
You're going to be in a world of pain pretty quick. But so it's all about, there'll be adrenaline. Any race you do, when you dive in and you hit that water with a suit on and you're shaved and you're rested, you feel good, you want to just go fast. But all these swimmers will want to settle in and actually have to hold back and save that energy almost for the last 200-300 meters. So it's a bit of a different sort of psyche required. It's so important to not overexert on the first part of this race.
Smith ahead of King, ahead of Svobodova.
I'd like to see a bit of a race on this one. Two people eyeballing each other the whole way, and then it's who's got the bigger kick at the end to win.
Oh wow, yes. There've been a few of those over the years.
Yeah, so it looks like there's a wee group settling in lanes 0, 1 and 2. Lara King, Kiva Smith and Katie Kelly are all kind of bunched up at the bottom of your picture in a wee moment, but there's the Trojan swimmer, Svobodova. Oh, Lara King, sorry, in lane 0, but very close actually, only 0.2 separating them. So you get this in the 1500, you get wee groups. There's a wee group, if you look at your picture there, there's a group at the bottom, a wee group in the middle, then a group at the top. They'll swim off each other because they're all going through it together, so it's good sometimes to pace off other people in a race like this because, you are swimming for so long, it's sometimes hard to keep probably concentration, I would imagine. But if you're swimming off someone, that gives you a wee bit of a incentive to be like, well, this is where I am, and especially if you're breathing towards them on the way back or away from them on the way there, you can be like, okay, this is where I am. And you can kind of gauge it quite a little bit easier. So this is us now at 250. It'll be interesting to see where we're at by 500, 600, 700.
Yeah, but what we're seeing in terms of difference between the first heat and the second heat is we saw Emily Edgar break away and hold that advantage for the longest time and then slowly start to extend her advantage over the remainder of the field. This one is very, very different. The top 5 swimmers are separated by very, very little.
Yeah, it's more cat and mouse, that kind of, sort of swim like we spoke about in the, the athletics and the 5K, 10K. They'll just run off each other. Something like this, you do get this in these races. And to commentate on, these are more fun to commentate on because you're trying to work out tactics of the swimmers, what's going through their heads. When you commentate that, I'm sure you have Dwayne commentate on Katie Ledecky. She's going to win.
Yes.
She's way out in front for the whole way. So
more importantly, everybody in the pool knows she's going to win as well.
Watching her sometimes, my word, just so far ahead. You can't. And I also feel for the camera crew trying to keep everyone in shot. She's that far ahead sometimes.
But yeah, she certainly has.
Did she win the 1500? Has that already happened?
Yeah. She's dominated. She's won the event in Fukuoka. So Katie Ledecky is world champion again in the 1,500 meter after a Tokyo gold in 2021.
But the 800 hasn't happened yet, has it? The 800 for women?
No.
So that'll be definitely a bit closer.
And yes,
was Titmus doing it? I think it was Ariane Titmus doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be a closer one. You still imagine Ledecky would do it, don't you?
How about Molly O'Callaghan as well?
My word, absolutely. I remember watching swimming in Rome 2009. Famous World Championships, for those of you that might not know, Rome 2009 World Championships. the championships, the swimsuits, the fast super suits. There was a big evolution in swimming technology where these fast bodysuits that covered your whole body, from chest down to ankles, males could wear them too, and they were made of polyurethane, and they just made you go so fast. Like, I think every world record was broken at that competition. A lot of world records today still stand. The men's 50 free, men's 800 free, men's 200 free, men's 400 free. And I think most of the women's ones have gone, but a big one was the women's 200 meter freestyle world record, which was set by Federica Pellegrini.
Pellegrini, yes.
6-time world champion in that event, 5-time world champion, Olympic champion, won it all.
Was that 152.98?
152.98 was pretty much untouchable. Only woman ever sub 153, and Molly O'Callaghan out of nowhere. How old's Molly O'Callaghan? 17, 18?
Yeah.
Went 152.8. I think it was to break it. That was
That's right, 152.85, yeah.
To break it, so that's
just crazy.
That's a big one to drop, as well as Marchand beating Phelps's 400 medley record.
Leon Marchand.
So they're all dropping. All these records are dropping, slowly but surely.
The French teenager breaking Phelps's last individual world record.
Phelps is off the record books, can you believe it?
Yeah, he's still got the 4x100 free relay in the
4x1 free for the Americans.
free
with the
relay
Lazak
with the
split,
Americans with
46.0 Lazak split.
yeah, that's right, 46.06 Lizak, yes.
Famous race of all time, probably.
Cullen Jones was also in that.
Colin Jones and Garrett Weber-Gale went second. I've
That's
seen
right.
that race a million times.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, now we're back at about 500 or so meters. So look at how the field's split now. The very bottom, Lara King of Sunday's Well, is it? No. SW, I'm not too sure, it might be Swilly. But you know, she's kind of pulled away from the other two that were beside her, and there's still a bit of a battle going on in the middle. Yeah, Sunday's Well. There's still a little bit of a battle going on in the middle. Those two haven't really dropped each other. Well, I suppose actually no. Svobdova of Trojan has dropped below her. Holly Robson. So yeah, field splitting up big time now. It just shows you.
Svobodova is still very much in this race and going nicely in lane 4. But you're right, yeah. King is looking solid in this lane 0. More important in the sprint events to avoid the outside lanes. Less important in the distance events. So
there's a wash.
yes,
Yeah. So wash coming over the lane ropes. Even though these lane ropes are, you know, thousands and thousands of pounds and of the highest quality, they stop. They're called wave breakers. That's what they're called. And they stop basically, you know, waves coming over into the next lane to make you go slower. But in the sprint events, you know, especially, you know, the fast swimmers, you can only stop so much, and if you get caught in the outside lane in the wash, you will go slower, and that's just kind of part of the sport. But in these distance events, you don't really get that. So you can swim by the wall, and you almost get that clean water actually just going flat out over the gutter. If you're looking at lane 0 there, all the water coming through is just going clean out into the gutter, so she's not swimming against any wash from either side. So that's just, she might as well be swimming in lane 4. It's absolutely no different for Lara King.
speaking of lane 4, Svobodova is still going strong, the Trojan swimmer. 18:48 at her best over this distance. So she'll be looking at that time and improving on it by some margin. But King is still very much in this race. Svobodova ahead of King. Robson currently 3rd fastest. Katie Kelly 4th fastest. But there's still a cat and mouse element to this race with the top 4 separated by effectively 3 seconds. This is still anybody's race. This is not
Katie
done
Kelly
and
as
dusted.
well in lane 2 is just kind of sneaking there, isn't she? She's just hanging in there. Swimming her own wee race, her legs aren't going at all, so that's something good to mention as well. The leg kick, you almost want to not kick your legs, actively not kick your legs. A lot of distance swimmers won't do a lot of kick work because the kick doesn't really benefit you on these distance events. If anything, if you kick your legs too much, it'll just tire you out. So you actually don't kick because your arms can last longer than your legs can in swimming. So you know what, a 2-beat kick, which in swimming when you talk about a 2-beat kick, a 4-beat kick, a 6-beat kick, that means that a 2-beat kick, for example, is 2 kicks for every cycle. So for every 2 strokes, you're doing 2 kicks. 4-beat kick would be 4 kicks for every 2 strokes. 6-beat kick, which would be the sprinters would be doing, would be 6 kicks for every 2 strokes. So you want to have a 2-beat kick the whole way. You know, keep your legs nice and fresh, flat back 200. So it's almost like a pretty different sport when you really break it down. To the naked eye, it's not, but it really is compared to the sprint events. But good for the viewer here. This is a close one. Svobdova and Lara King, 0.3 separating them. And like I said, Katie Kelly from Shark is just hanging in there. Lovely long stroke from her. I expect all these swimmers to be down around and PBing, getting big best times in this, the women's 1500. Only the 3 heats of this, with the fastest heat I think coming next, is it? Yeah. So we will have the fastest heat next, so the medals will be decided this morning for this event.
So King ahead of Svobodova. Kelly currently 3rd overall, and Robson 4th through 850 meters. So still 650 meters to go in this race. 10 minutes 50 on the clock. And the swimmers getting into a really good rhythm. There's very much a difference in the strokes between the sprint swimmers and the distance swimmers. The distance freestyle stroke is long and languid, And you spoke about the 2-beat kicks compared to up to 6-beat kicks with the sprinters.
Yeah, so important. Keep your legs nice and not really too much work. You know, a lot of these distance swimmers will do a lot of pull in training. So pull is where you just put a pull buoy in between your legs. Maybe you put hand paddles on, finger paddles on, and you're just using your arms to pull yourself through the water. Because that is the bread and butter of any distance freestyle event. It's nowhere near as important good kick on distance events as it is on even 400 nowadays. The 400 guys have to have a great kick. It's not, someone's going in the direction where you gotta go fast from the start. Well, it used to be on the 200 and 400 would double up, wouldn't it? So you'd have, if you look back at swimmers like Ian Thorpe and the Van der Kays of America and all those swimmers, it would be 200 was considered middle distance. You know, now it's 200 and 100 guys. You know, you won't get a lot of 400 guys in the 200. Really, very rare.
How much has training regimens changed it? I mean, I know a lot of it used to be in the pool. Now there's a very heavy gym element as well to swimming training. How much has it changed even in your swimming career?
Yeah, when I started swimming, it was all about yards. It was all about meters. It was do as many meters as you can, because that's how the old Popov trained, Matt Biondi, all these great swimmers from the
Spitz, you
know, Spitz. It was always the more meters you did, the faster you got. And then, you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, probably popularized through the likes of Gary Hall Jr., Anthony Irvin, swimmers like that, they began to do less swimming and more gym work, and they actually seem to get faster. So it's like every sport, the training will evolve, and swimming at the highest level is a fairly new sport. You know, I mean, yes, it's been in the Olympics, but it was an amateur sport for a long time. There was no money in it until really very recently. Compared to the likes of football or other sports like that. So I think nowadays, you know, they're training a lot smarter. And when I went across to university in Loughborough University, you know, there was a big gym element and a far more intense kind of environment in the pool. So you swam a lot faster. It was far more polarized. You'd swim either very, very fast or very, very slow, right? So it was probably higher intensity, but you didn't do a lot of these, you know, in between meters where you would, you know, intensity where you'd swim at, you know, hard meters for a long time. But definitely at the top level, gym work is vital, and it's swimmers are training far smarter now, especially post-COVID. You see world records dropping like flies. I think a lot of people realized after COVID they had a break away from the water, they had mentally cooled off and came back fresh and swam so fast. And I think a lot of coaches looked at that and were like, you know, well, maybe we need to give them more rest. Maybe we need to do, instead of doing big blocks of training, instead of doing one big one, let's do 4 smaller ones or something like that. So, I mean, there has to be something changed because the world records are dropping like crazy at the minute.
Yeah. Laura King is leading with 400 meters to go. Just ahead of Svobodova. Svobodova is still very much in this, but 37.87 from King and Katie Kelly a 37.81. Holly Robson just falling a little back over that last 50 meters. We're not quite at the stage where anybody is going to be really upping the pace now, but we're at the stage when the swimmers are going to be well aware of what's happening around them. And this is where a little spying outside of your eye as you're breathing is proving handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I haven't been paying too much attention, but I'd say the majority of swimmers maybe some breathe in every 3.
Yeah, some breathing every 2, some breathing every 3. Yeah,
I mean, at the higher level, you'll see swimmers breathing every 2 to one side. You won't see swimmers breathing every 3. But at the junior level, you know, coaches encourage it because it keeps balance to the stroke. You know, if you're constantly breathing to one side, you know, if you're not experienced, you know, your stroke will become lopsided. So as a junior, you'll always be taught to breathe every 3 strokes. But yeah, like Laura King, our leader's breathing every 3 strokes. You can see the whole way every 3. So she's either whether she's going down the pool or up the pool, she's able to see exactly where her competitors are. So she's holding on that lead comfortably enough. What she got, maybe, only 250 to go. So got to be thinking now about picking up the pace, especially coming into this last 200-meter mark.
Yeah, so Robson is just falling off the pace now. She's posted a couple of 39s, and that is seeing her off the pace. But King is leading the way from Svobodova. So Holly Robson Well, she was looking to get herself into a position to challenge for a top time here, is maybe just falling away. But it's Lara King ahead of Klara Svobodova, with Katie Kelly third overall. But Katie Kelly 39 over that last 50, whereas Svobodova swam 37 odd.
Yeah, so it's great we can see the splits actually, isn't it? It makes it far more interesting for the viewer to be able to see what splits these swimmers are going. So, you know, watch it. So, what was it, doing a 37 for the front two and then a 39,
yeah.
was it? So, yeah, we'll see how that changes now.
And that's what we've seen Robson fall away
Way
effectively.
off. Yeah.
And Kelly, I suspect, is heading in a similar direction. But King is leading. Svobodova is going to post a slower 37.99. She's keeping up a real decent tempo, but King is upping the tempo here.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want to do. It's exactly what her coach would want, her to pick up this tempo. And you can see it
just
now
before the
visibly.
bell, yeah.
You can see it now visibly.
Yes.
Her arms are beginning to go. And I would like to see her legs begin to go off this wall. Not necessarily before, because if you try and kick too early and sprint too early, well, you're going to be in a world of hurt on the last 50. So you got to time it right. Tough to do. So there's the bell. That beautiful sound. Just 2 more lengths to go. But Svobodova isn't going to be giving up too early. Yeah, she's half a second faster on that, so we're in for a great last 100 meters. And Svobodova is breathing every... Yeah, she can see. She's breathing every 2, it looks like.
Yeah.
So she can see, but King's picked it up again.
King has. She slowed down a little with the last 50, but she's definitely upped the tempo here. And high turnover from the arms, higher turnover. She's got into a really good pace, a really good rhythm, and she's looking to hit the front 35.97, so really hitting the front now. Svobodova again in the 37s. Katie Kelly has picked it up, as she's not too far off Svobodova. But Svobodova, she just can't up. No, she just can't do what King has been able to do, and that's up the tempo with a burst of speed. And King is going to take this, and it's going to be a magnificent time as well for King. She came in with a 19:33 seed time, and she's going to take an enormous amount of time off that. And that's a fantastic swim from King. Lara King is queen of this heat.
Perfect. Lara King, 18:45. Exactly what we spoke about throughout the whole race. That turn of pace in that last 100 meters, it's key. It's so important to be able to do, and you got to practice it in training. You know, Svobodova had a great swim. I'm just checking, was that a best time for her? No, just off her best time. So you look at King, you know, Svobodova has to work on that. I mean, she was right in the mix there to go around that 18:45 mark, and just didn't have it at the end, that turn of pace, which is so crucial to have on a 1500 meter freestyle.
A good swim as well from Katie Kelly in 18:51.96, and just breaking the 19-minute mark, Holly Robson 18:59.18. So not the strongest finish from Holly Robson, but she'll take it. Emily Ryan 19:15, Jill Connolly 19:20, 19:25 for Kiva Smith and Ava Nolan 19:29.55. Fiona O'Keefe 19:45.92, and then Aoife Fierick 19:50.11 as she comes home.
There's confirmation there. So great swim from Lara King there. She'll be over the moon, as will her coach. So now into this final heat, or this is pretty much the final of this event, the women's 1500 meter freestyle. This will be where the medals will be decided. Yeah, we got best times in the middle there of a 17:47. So
yeah, Ella Carroll is in a class of her own, it seems. The swimmer from Limerick, based in Limerick.
Based at the National Centre as well, so you know, so she's of that level.
So the third and final heat in the women's 1,500 metre, Chamberlain, Dawson, Cochran, Kelly, Carroll, Robson, Bentley, Purcell, Prunty and Rock.
We're talking about...
So, yeah,
sorry, go ahead,
just
Jim.
want to go ahead and just say that at DNS from lanes 2 and 3, so no Cochran or Kelly here. But Ella Carroll does go in lane 4, and she'll be looking to lead the field home. She's hoping for a time better than her seed time of 17:47, and already she's getting into a rhythm really nicely. She hits the first 50 in front.
Yeah, if you notice, I don't know if you noticed at home there, look at the leg kicks of these girls down that first length. Look how big they are. Look at lane number 1, Amy Dawson, big leg kick. You want to cut that out early doors, otherwise you're going to be paying for it. But that's what we're talking about, that excitement of diving in for this final, you know, and wanting to kick your legs and go fast, but watch how the leg kick will die off and the rhythm will set in. Just talking about records, you know, talking about world records and old swims and swimmers, you know, swimming from the past, but the Irish record in this event for women is all the way back from 2010. Gráinne Murphy, the London 2012 Olympian, and a 16:02 set in the European Championships in Budapest in Hungary. That got her a silver medal, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
I think the longest medals, records, though, are still held by Michelle Smith. If you go back, that would have been Atlanta 96. She would have set a host of Irish records.
Michelle Smith holds the 400 freestyle, yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about this record.
So yeah, 16:02 is absolutely rapid.
Yep.
You know, Gráinne Murphy, a supreme, you know, Ireland's greatest distance freestyler.
Yep.
Some of those records, like you said, yeah, lasting a very, very long time. But yeah, Michelle Smith, the swimmer from Atlanta, 96.
We've also seen some recent ones go as well, which is delightful. I mean, Whiffen you spoke about as well, Catterson as well.
Yeah, Whiffen breaking a European record as well.
Yes.
That's just, here in Ireland, to have somebody breaking European records is just...
And to still not medal, it hurts all the more.
He would have won gold in Tokyo by 2 seconds.
It's crazy to think.
It's crazy just how much it's... I know it was COVID and it was a wee bit weird, wasn't it? But I saw he went...
It was a very
strange...
He told
me before the race, he went 7:39 and he would come fourth. It's just, oh wow. But Hafney, is that how you pronounce his name? Sorry, the Tunisian? Hafney?
Hafney, yeah.
Hafney, yeah, he won the gold. He's a class act.
He is.
Class act. But the world record in that event is probably the best world record in swimming. It's 7:32 or 7:31, which is just from Rome 2009. If you want to watch something crazy, go and watch that race.
Yeah, no, that is bonkers. 7:32, I think you're right.
Zhang Lin of China.
Yeah.
Absurd race. Comes home in 25 or it's just mental. But back to the swimming here.
Ella Carroll still leading the way. Early stages of this women's 1,500 meter freestyle. We've seen 2 different races already in the heats. We've seen one swimmer go out, break the field up nice and early, hold on to an advantage for the longest time, and then extend it towards the finish. Then we saw a race that was very much cat and mouse right till the very end, where any one of 3 could have gone on and won it. And now we're seeing sort of something somewhere in between, where Ella Carroll has built up a lead, but not exactly broken up the field.
No, not quite. You know, like, yeah, she's expect her to pull away, you know, consistently per 50. You know, her best time is comfortably faster than the rest of the field. That's a great shot there. Look at that. Nice low shot there of the Lisburn swimmer. Who's that? I think it's Amy Dawson. So, oh, look at that shot there. Great camera work right the way back. Look at that, coming off the wall, nice and consistent, not breathing off a turn, keeping the head nice and low. If you notice her right hand there, if the camera stays on it, you see how the right hand's coming right across her head. That has to be something she can work on. That right hand needs to stay out wide. Don't let it cut across your body like that, because that'll make your hips snake from side to side. But who am I to talk? She's in swimming and I'm stood up here drinking water and eating jelly babies. But that's something to sort of look at, and that's something that her coach will be telling her to do. But you know, when you're taking that many strokes, you know, coming down the pool, you know, it adds up. It does add up if you're not efficient on this 1,500 meter freestyle.
But she's posting consistently 35-second, 36-second laps. So she'll take that. This time going sub 36 seconds for that last 50 meters, and just starting to break it up a little more now. Maybe just tossing down the proverbial gauntlet and seeing if any swimmer will go with her.
See her leg kick there. our leader Ella Carroll, it's sort of she's kicking in bursts, which you do see sometimes, and that can work too. It's like a bit of a burst kick and then relax, bit of a burst kick and then relax. You'll see it now. There's the burst. There it is again and again. So she's doing it in time with her breath. So I've seen a lot of great distance swimmers do that, But actually, a very nice kick, and right above her is the Lisbon swimmer Jessica Robson. Look how consistent her kick is. There's no pause in it. There's no. I shot a shot now, but there's no pause in it. It's just consistent the whole way. That's very, very hard to do. Very, very hard to do. To keep the, especially as you breathe, because to kick your legs and swim is very, very difficult. To keep them working in tandem because they work separately is very, very hard. So yeah,
Ella Carroll ahead of Jessica Robson at the moment, and you talked about the quite different and disparate styles of their kicking. But yes, both seem to work for the respective swimmers. But Robson is delightfully in tempo. She's got something very pleasing to watch about her stroke as well. Yeah. You've noticed that sort of high arm and the right arm that comes across Ella Carroll, but it is, as you say, difficult to critique sitting up here.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of the swimmer that had an awful stroke. What was her name? The American swimmer. She was Olympic champion. Distance swimmer. Was it Janet Evans?
Might have been Janet Evans.
And she just, if you look at her, technique was just not her a thing, but she just was so fast. It worked for her. She broke a world record, Olympic champion. Was it Janet Evans? I think it might have been Janet Evans. So swimming's very individual. It may not look good to the eye, but, technique isn't what's written in the history books. Times are what's written in the history books. So such an individual sport, different ways to swim. So you see Ella Carroll there with just wrapping out 35s here, and like I said earlier, she will just consistently pull away from the field if you're just wrapping a little bit faster than her competitors. So I think the gold and silver's already decided, isn't it, Dwayne?
Yeah, it seems to be. Certainly seems to be. Ella Carroll and Jessica Robson alongside one another in lanes 4 and 5. Ella Carroll 17:47 and 36:18, slightly slower over the last 50 meters, but still very consistent with her times. Robson 36:55.
Yeah, we're approaching just about 75 or so meters off the halfway mark. The hunt will be on for bronze, though. And sort of the top of your picture there, you've got Jessica Purcell, and then up above her, 2 above her, and 9 is Ava Rock. So there is a hunt on for the bronze medal too. And those swimmers they probably won't be aware of it, actually, where they are in the field. Very hard to know. And then I know personal battle in lanes 1 and 0 there, Amy Dawson and Chamberlain of Cookstown, which is always good to see too.
So Jessica Robson is second. Comfortable lead for Ella Carroll at the moment, but Jessica Purcell, as you say, currently tucked into third. Ava Rock fourth. Hazel Bentley is challenging as well. She's fifth. Katie Prunty sixth overall. Amy Dawson touches now of Lisbon. She's alongside Chamberlain, who touches 8th quickest. We've had 2 DNSs, Grace Cochran and Ruth Kelly, from lanes 2 and 3.
Yep, 2 DNSs, don't blame them. Not fancy this one. No, I'm only joking.
Man with a sense of humour here.
I say that in jest.
Of course.
But yeah, just extending their lead now. Carroll. And there's a number of reasons why swimmers will pull out of events, not only 1500s, but other events. The way it's kind of done, a coach will say to you, for me it was very, very simple. If I turn up the competitions, I did the 50 free, the 100 free, and maybe the 50 fly. And that was it. I wasn't good at anything else.
Yep.
So it was already decided for me. But other swimmers, where they're maybe a medley swimmer, or like if you're a good 200 medley swimmer or 400 medley swimmer, you're probably going to be a good freestyler, a good butterflyer. So you can maybe enter the 100 fly, 200 free. So what coaches will do to swimmers, they'll say, okay, Irish Summer Nationals, I'm going to enter you in all these events. And then when we get down there, we'll decide what you're feeling, especially over a 5-day meet. Swimmers get tired throughout it.
Well, I wanted to ask you, does the week catch up with you?
Yeah, massively. If you're not on top of recovery, sleep, nutrition, hydration, all right, day 1, day 2, maybe day 3, you'll get away with it. Day 4 and 5, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks. if you're not on top of that. And this teaches you, you know, if you go to the Olympic Games, Dwayne, I think you've been and commentated on that, swimming is 8 days. It's 8 days of racing.
Yeah.
So if you're racing on day 1 and day 8, that's a whole week of trying to keep your head in the game, keep your, you know, your mental capacity at a sound level. So this is great practice for that. And a lot of these swimmers not exposed to the kind of intensity of racing, and you've got to make sure that you do your swim downs. The picture, if you look to the left of your picture, it's to the other side there. There's a swim down pool which is 25 metres in the diving well behind that board to your left. So the swimmers will get out of this race and they'll get in and they'll swim up and down nice and easy and clear the lactic acid, because if they don't do that, if they just get out, get changed, go to the hotel, tomorrow they'll wake up feeling awful. The lactic acid will just sit and swill in the muscles, and they're just going to perform really poorly for the rest of the meet. So recovery is, I'd say, at these meets, 50% of the game.
That's incredible. That is incredible. I love the insights. David Thompson is alongside me. Recently retired, but a man whose insights have proved invaluable to this broadcast. An HVBV production for Swim Ireland. We're at the Irish Youth and Senior Championships at the National Aquatic Centre in Blanchardstown, and Ella Carroll is leading the way and on course for a gold medal in the women's 1,500 metre freestyle, ahead of Erica Robson, who's showing some really consistent times as well. The Lisburn swimmer, Ella Carroll, based out of the National Centre in Limerick, held on to her advantage, but Robson is showing some fight in this race.
Yeah, I mean, the lead hasn't really extended too much, has it? It's sort of, what are we at now? 1,000 metres in, a K in. You know, and it's, what's that, about 6 seconds maybe? Yeah, 6-7 seconds. I think it was about 6-7 seconds at about 500-600. So they just held that pace the whole way. We got a best time here for Ella Carroll of a 17:47, and Robson's is an 18:08. So Robson's on for a very good personal best time here. So again, another Lisburn swimmer. Stan Shepard doing a great job up there. So it's great to see. It feels very spread out, but good battle for bronze. Top of your picture. Good battle for bronze now. Lanes number 9 and 7. The Aer Lingus swimmer Jessica Purcell and Ava Rock of New Ross. So, you know, yes, gold and silver is decided, but the bronze certainly isn't.
Yeah, that is a fascinating battle that is developing, because Hazel Bentley was in the race for a little while, but she's fallen back now. Jessica Purcell and Ava Rock effectively side by side. They're touching a second apart. But it's Ella Carroll who is controlling this race ahead of Jessica Robson. The women's 1,500 metre.
She's maybe picking up the pace slightly, 36.3 there. You know, yeah, they're just wrapping similar times the whole way, so still that nice rhythm, that nice leg kick. You know, I love the stroke of Robson, I really do. She's got a lot of potential that summer. That consistent leg kick, that nice high elbow. Yeah, you can almost see she's got a nice bent elbow as she pulls with her right arm. You can see it ever so slightly. You know, but the battle for bronze at the minute looks like Ava Rock is just sneaking out ahead with, you know, about 350 or so metres to go. So still a wee bit of swimming to go.
Certainly into the area now where we're starting to see where swimmers will make a move, if they are going to be making a move at all, and a mini race that has developed between the two swimmers who are out in the outside lanes, Jessica Purcell and Ava Rock. They're both only 15 years old. Important to note, Ella Carroll at 18, Jessica Robson at 17. There's a lot more. Physically, you develop very, very differently, and an 18-year-old is significantly stronger than a 15-year-old, for example.
Yeah, massive.
So the fact that Purcell and Rock are in this race at 15 is significant in itself.
Yep, and it's all age is massive. You know, when I grew up swimming, you swam in your year. So I was born 1993, and I was born December 93. So I was swimming against people when I was 12, 13 that were born January 93. They were a year older than me, and it was a massive, massive difference. You know, it levels out as you get older. 18, 19, doesn't matter.
That's right.
When you were born, but as an age group swimmer, it does matter. So the fact these swimmers are 15 years of age and right up there, probably going to get an open medal. is fantastic for the future and will give them great confidence, because this is the last meet before the summer. They'll have August off and they'll get back into the water September usually sometime. But to finish on a high it's honestly the greatest feeling in swimming, to finish the season on a high. It's really not nice from finishing the season on like a low, because you've worked all year.
No, you don't want to get into that position. Coming up to the mark now with just 4 lengths to go. That's 200 meters in the pool. Ella Carroll is leading the way, and it looks like she's upping the tempo just a little bit here. 36.05, she's back to just about on 36-second pace. Let's see what Robson can post. 36.69, she's still very consistent, and maybe is just struggling to up the tempo in the way that Carroll is doing.
Yeah, Carroll seems to have gone a bit earlier. You know, we spoke in heats 1 and 2, didn't we, Dwayne? About 300, 200 meters, well, not really, 200, 100 meters, like getting to go, you know, up the rate. But we can visibly see her rates a lot more now, you know, a lot earlier than that. So, yeah, 150 out, she's going for it. That's
36.07.
Yeah, she's dropping. So, yeah, she should be well under her. Well, she might not be actually. I'm trying to think. 17.
Yeah, she'll be well under 17.47.
She should be, shouldn't she? She might be quite close to it actually. I'm trying to think. 17.47. She comes in.
Well, yeah.
I'm not good at maths in my head, folks. I'm trying to work it out in my head. I'm not good at it.
17.47. No, you're right.
She won't be. No, she'll be off it actually, because
she'll be off of that. Yeah.
She's repping 35. So here we go. So we're
That's right.
16.42. So she needs to come back in a 105.
Yeah, no.
Which she won't do. So she's going to go roughly 16.52. 16.50 would be a good swim for her here. But hey, she's going to win the gold medal.
And it's been a really good swim from Jessica Robson going in lane 5 as well. She hasn't been able to up the pace quite as Ella Carroll has, ever so slightly in this race, but she swum a very smart race. The battle for the bronze medal has certainly heated up as well, because Ava Rock has decided to put the proverbial hammer down and really go for it. And Purcell is being left a little behind here.
Yeah, and it's the key of a 1500. When you have to go, you go. And some swimmers can live with it and some swimmers can't.
But
and
the swimmer,
the key.
But the swimmer that we're focusing on is got to be Ella Carroll, a very fine swim from the 18-year-old, based out of the National Centre in Limerick. 17.47 her best. That time will come up now, but she is still going to win the gold medal here in the women's 1,500 meters. You called it 17.50 to 17.52, 17.51.32 for Ella Carroll. As she comes home comfortably ahead of Jessica Robson for a very fine silver medal for the 17-year-old from Lisburn. And then the battle for bronze, it was on between Rock and Purcell. It's going to be Rock who takes it. 18.15 for Rock. That's a big personal best by almost 30 seconds for Ava Rock.
Wow.
At 15 years old, she claims a medal in an open category.
Great swim from Ella Carroll. Her coach and her family will be over the moon. Jessica Robson, you know, unlucky to not go that sub 18, but that's something Jessica Robson has to work on, that turn of speed in that last wee bit. So, you know, things to work on. You know, it's she's still got a good personal best, and Ava Rock as well, like you said, a 32nd personal best. So, you know, they've learned a lot from that swim, let me tell you.
So Ella Carroll ahead of Jessica Robson, Ava Rock, Jessica Purcell, Katie Prunty. So before we conclude the session, we do a swim-off from the men's 50-meter freestyle.
We absolutely love a swim-off.
Oh, do we?
We do. On a 50, we do.
Go out as quickly as you can, smash into the wall as fast as you can. Leachuk and Caulfield.
So this will obviously be to get back for, I'm not too sure what final it'll be. It'll be a final for tonight. But what happens is, folks, if there's a dead heat for 8th, so last place into a final, both swimmers, there's 2 swimmers occupying one spot, they have to swim off. So it's race again, head to head like this. It's a great part of swimming, I think. And it doesn't matter what you went before. Even if you go slower than before, as long as you beat the person next to you, you're going to win. So Caulfield and Leitchuk in the 53 here.
Leitchuk and Caulfield in this men's 50-meter free swim off and breaking the water very early as Leitchuk going in 4, but quicker in the water potentially here is Caulfield, but Leitchuk looks to be leading the way. Not wasting any time breathing, he is simply gunning for it as fast as he possibly can. He's looking to get to the wall, and indeed he's going to do it here. It's going to be Leitchuk who takes it from Caulfield, and a shake of the head immediately from the NAC swimmer. Leitchuk 25.83, don't worry about the time. The fact that he finished ahead of Caulfield is simply good enough. So that the swim off.
He was miles ahead of the start, wasn't he? That's what.
Yeah, he was.
That was the race over from there.
So the swim off in the men's 50-meter freestyle, Sasha Leitchuk ahead of Nathan Caulfield, and that concludes session 5 of this Irish Youth and Senior Summer Nationals.
Officials, there will be a short debrief and